Welcome back to the TTRPG Project, where we are proud to bring you the Dresselhime campaign, featuring our cast of non-voice actors, Adonis Kronos, Guinevere Ashenthorn, and Gelt Genlith, as they explore the wild lands of Dresselheim. The Dresselhime campaign, featuring the Tarren D100 system using particularly the Tarren Age of Fantasy, Beta 2 currently available to join at TheTtrpgProject.com. The TTRPG Project is proud to bring you the Dresselheim campaign with these non-voice actors, sponsored by proud viewers like you who remember to like, subscribe, leave a rumble, thumbs up, and even leave comments down below, or who happen to go over to the TTRPGProject.com and take a look at joining, becoming a member, joining the beta, which we always appreciate for feedback, or by picking up some of our merch. Get yourself an Adonis Kronos sticker for that notebook, a Guinevere Ashenthorn to put on the car, or pick up a t-shirt or hoodie to let people know that you know how to play other games besides, well, other games. Anyhow, with all that being said, begin the Dresselheim campaign. Enjoy. 3. Welcome back, Dawning Titans, my lovely group of nerds. We are gathered around at Champions Day. Last session, you guys went on a little bit of a sloth hunt. You guys felt like you had a fairly easy time, despite the fact that Gelt almost got ripped in half.
Minor details.
Minor details.
Minor details, right? Only one of you. And it wasn't Adonis for a change. We're doing good. That makes 2 for 2. Adonis hasn't been the one to go down.
We're switching it up.
Alright, you guys made it back. You made a healthy chunk of profit off of 2 slots. You've gone into Champions Day. You've been invited to various locations with influential people. And we were just about to start off the actual fights. It is about this moment that a dwarf appears in front of, or comes walking through the stands of the Corgi area, or that's basically the SS Whoop. We're at their crew area. Shows up. First round bets! Winston motions the dwarf over, places a private bet. You see some of the other Corgis come up. Elizabeth places her stone down to make some bets. Guinevere, are you placing any bets in the first round? We have Winston versus Jeffrey, Shane versus Fangcool, John Ho versus Victor, and Samuel versus Gru.
No prize for first rounds.
First round. See, that's the information that was on the back of your betting ticket. The first round, due to the change-up in order of fights due to the recent death of last year's champion, has been recirculated so that first round bet has been modified for place bets on the day of is 1-to-1.
Ooh.
Is there any way in this moment that I am able to contact my party?
This is an individual exercise for all 3 of you.
Ooh, okay.
This is why you guys had all the betting information beforehand.
Alright.
You can bet on the single round, or you can bet for who you think will be the overall winner when it all comes down to it.
Ooh, okay.
If you bet for just the round, it's 1-to-1. If you bet the overall, it pays 5-to-1.
Okay. I think I want to, at least right now, bet for just this round.
Okay.
I'll put 2 silver on Shane.
2 silver on Shane. Okay. Is that the only fight in the first round you're going to bet on? because we have Winston versus Jeffrey, John Ho versus Victor, Samuel versus Gru.
Yeah, I think for right now, that's the only one I'll bet on.
Okay, Guilt.
I'm gonna bet.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna put my bets on, or my bet on Gru winning to round 3.
How much?
Two silver.
2 silver, and you expect him to go all the way to the top?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you said all the way to round 3. That's why I'm asking.
Just to the round then, because
just for the round.
Yeah.
You got it. Okay, 2 silver on Gru, and even in the shadows where you stand, Adonis, a dwarf appears, a little grayer than some of the others that you've met. You see Hephaestus look at him, make a few scrawls on the notepad, and place a bet. Will you be placing a bet?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna place a bet on Victor.
Victor, okay.
Just for the round for right now, because they'll come back every
They will.
Next round, right?
Yep. And how much are you placing on Victor?
What did everybody else bet? I heard Dustin said 2
silver.
silver. 2 silver.
2 and 2.
Yeah. I guess we're just gonna go in numbers of 2. So 2 silver as well.
2 more silver, and you're betting on Victor. Okay. You see a dwarf walk out into the middle of the sandy pits. Around the pit, you see a large number of dragonborn in heavy armor. A little bit more than just the town's guard. You assume that these dragonborn must be from the military barracks. Each one carrying halberd or heavy spear, heavy armor, all lining the outer circle of the sandy pits of the arena. You see a group of priestesses who were also escorted by groups of heavily armed guards standing around at the top of the stairwells along the edge of the top arena around the stadium. Clearly there for clerical purposes. The dwarf in the middle of the ring raises his hands. A necklet of yellow and blue spell stones begin to glow around his neck. And his voice echoes like he's speaking on speakers. As the fighters enter the arena, all 8 of them come striding in, each taking a place at a little seat and armor and weapon rack set out for the 8 fighters. Welcome one and all to the Great Champions Day! Betting is closed for the first round. About this point, you all notice that the dwarves you saw that appeared to take bets have all disappeared. Like they were there and now they're gone. It's pretty stealthy for some stout little guys.
Yeah.
Right?
First fight, Winston! And you see the large pork come in, swinging the 2-handed axe like he's warming up to hit the grand slam. Versus Jeffrey! You see a green dragonborn strode out, a big old claymore that he's batting back and forth between his arms, loosening up his shoulders. The 2 line up. The crowd grows to a silent hush. The dwarf who's overseeing the contest throws his hands down to give the signal for the fight to begin, as if he was a conductor giving direction to an orchestra. Winston steps forward. Jeffrey comes in, swinging his claymore with a downward to up stroke, trying his best, thinking he's going to slice Winston from the belly to the throat. And the fight comes to a sudden, violent, and abrupt halt. As Winston's first swing collides with Jeffrey's skull, followed by a second, large, spinning swing. He caught Jeffrey mid-swing. Jeffrey falls back, his helmet caved into his head. The crowd begins to roar in excitement, and yet still feels mute compared to the sounds of the impact of Winston's axe to Jeffrey's head.
Oh,
Immediately, guards rush forward to begin to give aid to Jeffries as they do their best to struggle to remove the helm and start applying aid as they put him onto a cot to carry out.
jeez.
Winston raises his axe high above his head as he raises a hand with it and walks back to his seating area to wait for his next match. The crowd applauds enthusiastically.
Yeah, understandable. That was.
Quick.
It was quick, yeah.
Next fight, Shane versus Fang Cool. You see Shane, a lycanthrope, a Rottweiler build with black fur and golden highlights, walking forward, a combat axe in one hand, banging it against his shield that he holds with the other. As Fang Cool walks out, arming sword in one hand, her shield clenched in the other. The mark of the shield maiden painted across the front of it. She too slaps the hilt of her sword against her shield as the two approach each other. The dwarf drops his hands again to begin the orchestra of chaos. The two warriors smash their shields against each other, exchanging several blows, neither actually getting past one another's armor or past each other's shields. They collide, they spin, they step forward and slam their shields in together again while they're swinging their weapons, trying to get past one another. And then, Fang Cool takes a step back. Finding a gap, she lunges forward as Shane swings around. She ducks down and thrusts deep, her blade finding the gap between his armor and shield. Shane's arm falls to his side as Fang Cool's blade has a trickle of blood running down as she's thrust up under the armpit of his shield arm, cutting straight through the tendons and bone, causing the arm to fall limp.
Oh.
Yikes.
Shane steps back, drops his axe, and raises his hand in defeat. Again, the crowd roars in applause. While this fight took a little longer, it was no short as violent, and yet demonstrated great skill of both competitors. The dwarf comes forward. John Ho versus Victor! A human, large, about 6.5 feet tall.
Whew.
Heavy armor, a large two-handed war maul swirling around as he spins it back and forth. The mark of a crusader blazoned across his back. Victor, a lycanthrope, in lighter armor. Husky build. Piercing blue eyes that are visible even to those sitting in the nosebleeds. Wielding a large halberd. And the two prepare themselves. Begin! And the fight, they lunge forward. Victor stuns the crowd as he uses his halberd to propel himself forward like a pole vaulter, landing a double kick in John Ho's chest. John Ho, a little surprised to see someone do something so absolutely ridiculous, ends up knocked on his back, and before he can rise up, he falls victim to Victor, who just brings down raining blows after blow after blow upon his body with the large halberd, until finally John Ho is clearly deemed unconscious, as there's no movement from him other than the violent bouncing of his body between the ground and Victor's halberd swings.
my god.
Jesus.
So,
Oh.
they carry John Ho out on another gurney. Many of the lycanthropes in the audience cheer in absolute hooting glory over Victor's surprising technique at his victory. But they definitely agree with his violence. Samwell and Gru, calls the announcement. A human bearing sword and shield steps forward. He himself is a large man in his armor. But then, next to the great Pork Gru, who you all met as the head death warden of the temple of the local temple of Styx,
Oh.
comes forward, his war scythe clenched in his hands.
Terrifying.
It's
The
really
door.
boys.
The dwarf's hands drop down, and Samwell falters from the start as he's astonished at Gru's speed. As from the very beginning, Gru slashes at him and gashes a deep groove with his black growing scythe directly across Samwell's chest piece, and then a second slash across the lower. And you see as the scythe has actually carved into the steel of the armor, revealing a trickle of blood across the abdomen.
Whew.
Jesus.
Samwell drops his weapons, reaches down with his armor to hold in his guts. And the fight is he concedes.
Yeah, I would too. Damn.
Congratulations, you have made 8 copper this betting round, or 8 silver this betting round.
Hey.
I was like, damn, we all bet 2 silver and lost?
No. You came up because it was a 1-to-1 bet, and 2 of you won and 1 of you lost.
Victor and Gru.
Hey.
So,
I know I should always bet on a shield maiden.
Always.
Yeah.
with that, while they're gently removing Samwell, trying to ensure his guts don't fall out, the dwarves appear back in the crowds, moving among them. Betting on round two. The bets for round 2 are half of whatever you bet. So if you were to bet 1 silver, you would win back 1 silver and 50 copper.
Oh, okay.
There will be a fight between Winston versus Fangcool and Victor versus Gru. We will start with Guinevere.
Alright, it was...
Winston and Fangcall.
Alright, I'm betting on the shield maiden this time.
Okay, how much?
I guess 2 silver again.
2 silver? Okay. As you place your bet, you notice that Elizabeth looks at you. I'm betting on her too. She clearly has more skill than that oversized piece of bacon.
Damn.
Gelt,
Oh, God.
about this moment where you're at, a elf comes walking up. She has a human who appears to be accompanying her. You notice the magistrate stands and says, "Ah, cousin. I was wondering when we would see each other." She turns to him. "Why, hello, cousin. It is so good to see you. I was wondering also when we would meet." And he makes a motion for her to sit, and as he does, he goes, "Ah, my cousin, Gadar." Gadar Furen, I would like you to meet young Master Gelt, leader of the Dawning Titans. I'm sure you've heard of him since you arrived last night. She turns, her silver hair, skin so pale and glowing that she herself almost appears to have a silver sheen around her. She's so pale and so glowing that it almost hides the sharpness of her features.
Out here looking like a certain type of vampire, damn.
As she looks at you, yes, I believe I have heard of the Dawning Titans. I've heard that they most recently killed a sewer rat for you, cousin. Surprised that he's your acquaintance of the day. But I suppose even the smallest deeds deserve recognition. You see the magistrate's eyes narrow a little bit. He tries to do a little feigned smile of politeness. And who might be the ethereal individual accompanying you, cousin? As he takes back his seat. The human that has approached with this magistrate of another city. He is blonde. Imagine, how do I put this? He's good looking in all the classical senses. Long blonde hair. He's got this weird mix of the cuteness of an older Edward from Full Metal, but the royalty and proper figure of, say, what's his name from Castlevania?
Alucard?
Alucard?
Thank you. Yes. So he's a hybrid between a good-looking Edward and the presentation of Alucard. For a quick reference point.
All right.
Alright.
Go ahead and do a magic sense.
Okay. Do I add anything? I don't think I had anything to this. I'm not special like I was last time.
No, you're not a shaman anymore.
Oh shit, I still had a +5 though.
Hey, there you go.
85.
You kind of have to wonder whether or not the magistrate was not being facetious when he said how ethereal. As you notice that this human has a mana presence that just flows off of him and then flows back into him. A twisting of almost pure white. Something that's odd. Most people have a mix of mana colors that arrive off of them. But his is, from what you can tell, pure white. And instead of flowing off of him and into the world, you have to wonder how much training this individual has done that his standing mana presence is pulled back into itself. Something that you have only seen before in combat when people usually were preparing spells for the purpose of fighting. Admirable. Oh, cousin, this, believe it or not, he's someone that we found wandering. He's the swordsman, traveling swordsman, should I say, who I've recently brought into my hire, Apollo. You see the magistrate lean forward as he takes a glass from a passerby servant. Interesting. You found a wandering swordsman on your way down from the north. Actually, cousin, we were returning from the desert. Traveling from the desert. Yes, we were returning from Nouveau Elpha. I see. You found him traveling the long sands between here and Nouveau. Yes. Why, how intriguing indeed. Tell me, Master Apollo, I have not heard of you before, and yet to be traveling the long sands, you are quite daring or quite foolish. Apollo bows his head. You'll notice that he's the only one of you that hasn't taken a seat. I'm mostly foolish, I assure you, Your Grace. For if I was truly worthy of such praise, you would not need introduction to me, I'm sure. You are most interesting. And about this point, the dwarf appears. Oh, yes. I'll be placing, and he goes ahead and he scrolls down an amount, and the betting tablet goes around, and it comes to you. How would you like to make your bets?
Same price, or same amount on Gru again.
Back on Gru, you got it. All right. Meanwhile, we come down to Adonis and Lephistus. Where are you betting, Adonis?
How did what's his face's match go again? The lycanthrope. How did Victor's match go?
It was quick. He drop kicked
Victor
John
dinked him off the ground a couple of times.
Yeah, we're gonna he's facing Gru, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll bet 2 on Victor then.
2 on Victor, okay? Alright, so I've got 2 on Fancool, 2 on Gru, and 2 on Victor. The dwarves disappear. The aristocrats of the elves are sparring with each other verbally in polite society's fashion.
In true high society fashion, they're just fighting each other with words.
Lephistus is philosophizing on the importance of appearance to Adonis. And Winston is still desperately trying in his own subtle ways to apologize to Elizabeth, and Elizabeth just sent off Bill to go buy a bunch of what smells like, as she says, "Ooh, I think they have that roasted giant sloth meat over there that dancing hand is selling. Bill, will you please be a doll?" And sends Bill off to go buy it all.
The entire cart.
There's a whole crew of corgis there. They're hungry.
That is fair.
Feeling a little proud about the sloth meat.
And the dwarf walks back out into the sands of the arena. Winston versus Fankul. The pork and the orc walk into the ring staring at each other. Winston spits, raises his axe up. The shield maiden raises her shield above her head and holds out her sword in front of her, ready as if she's ready to spring into a thrust. The hands drop to begin the orchestra of clashing steel. Winston's axe colliding down onto Fancool's shield with a thunderous cry. Fancool sends Winston back with a blast of holy light that erupts from the top of her shield. Winston, stumbling back, regains himself, only to find the end of Fancool's sword resting under his throat, trapped between the chin guard of his armor and his upper breastplate. All she has to do is thrust, extending the rest of her arm, and she would cut straight through his throat gap.
Ooh.
They pause and freeze. The eyes of the orc maiden can even be seen from those down close, especially where Adonis and Lephistus are. You notice Adonis Lephistus has a slight grin to the side of his face, and you hear him whisper, "Go on, push a little further." But Fancool does not, as Winston drops the axe from above his head and holds his hands out in surrender.
Lefest is out here trying to see a man die.
Can't watch, he gets to watch the world burn half the time.
Victor versus Gru. The dwarf calls out. A little disappointed that there was no real bloodshed between Winston and Fancool, but the crowd very fascinated, after all, especially seeing a shield maiden use one of her shield abilities. Victor steps out. Gru steps out. Victor raises his halberd and gets himself ready into a lunging, striking position. Gru simply stands there holding his scythe, staring down at the lycanthrope that stares at him. The hands drop. Victor rushes forward, swings wide, only to find his halberd trapped mere inches from Gru's face by black wisping shadows that wisp off of Gru's body from the ground. Before he has time to pull his halberd back, he steps back and feels a sharp razor shaving the fur from the back of his neck. The crowd gasps. No one even saw the Death Warden move. And yet, as he stands there with one hand, his scythe extended, resting the blade against the back of Victor's neck, the lycanthrope lets go of his halberd, knowing that, according to the tournament's rules, Gru could have killed him, as killing your opponent is not forbidden.
Oh.
Wild.
Victor submits. So, that brings you to a 6 plus 6 silver minus the 2 for the loss. That's a plus 4 silver for that round.
Nice.
Meaning you are up a total of 12 silver.
Okay, that puts us at... Hang on.
36 plus 12.
Oh, damn.
Oh, we have more than I thought.
Yes.
We have
The day's not over.
Damn.
The crowd cheers, if not a little bit like, what the hell just happened? Back into where you all are. This time we're going to start off with you, Adonis. The last fight will be between Fancool and Gru.
So it's Gru v. Fancool, right?
Yes.
Yep. And this fight will pay 5 to 1.
I'll put 3 down on Gru.
3 on Gru?
Yeah, 3 silver.
I
Excellent.
like the original.
This time you are having, Hephaestus is talking off to you. Yes, politics and things are always left best to those who stand in the face, but it is important for those of us in the shadow to understand the way things work. Building your reputation through your exploits in the wilds and bringing back treasures would be a fine way for your group to make a hefty living. By the way, I secured the building next to the bookstore for you. I believe that they should have it cleaned out by tomorrow morning for you to take a look. I'll be sending a servant to the poorhouse to retrieve you for it.
Sounds good. We'll be waiting.
The biggest things you have to remember is that moving around the continent are quite difficult. Corvus is, as the magistrate sees it, welcome to all. He's curious in humans like yourself, as well as caring for our cousins, the Leprade and the Dragonborn. I mean, after all, it's not like there's many elves like myself or your comrade Gelt. We are rarities among our breed. Our number are too few, and most choose to never leave the capital, choosing to live there where they surround themselves with the overabundance of the female of our species. Often I wonder whether or not I made the right choice in not staying in the capital. By now, I'm sure I would have had 13, 14, maybe even 18 wives.
Oh my god.
Jesus.
Above table real quick. That's due to the fact that there's only 1 in 10 elves are born male. And the fact that elves have a very irregular, they can only breed about once every 100 years, where they produce offspring.
I was gonna say, oh, so they're like Mormons, but but I take that back about
So their need to produce offspring to replenish their number is in high demand.
Got it.
That being said, they also live in a matriarch society where the capital is run by a council of females. So outside of Corvus, matter of fact, I'll just let Mephistus say this. Outside of Corvus, you'll find that all of the politics are run by our Fae, which is the common term for elven females. And the Fae are a little more close-minded than our magistrate is. They prefer, other than their negotiations with the dwarves, which really is simply more of necessity of survival, they're not exactly as welcome. For example, if you go to Basse, to the north, you'll find that other than some amenities that have access outside the city gates, they don't allow non-citizens in. Even with your citizenship, they wouldn't allow you or the female that travels in your group in. They may allow Master Gelt in, but honestly, that would even be hard-pressed to say. They're not exactly open-minded to outsiders. That's one of the reasons the magistrate is looking forward to seeing your group become prosperous.
Fair enough.
How would you like to... You're betting the 3 on Gru. We already got that covered. All right?
Yep.
Back up to Gelt. The sparring back and forth has turned into metaphors about chess. I see that you're enjoying playing with your pawns, as always, cousin. Those who only think in terms of pawns are short-sighted, though one must respect the power of one's pawns when positioning, cousin. At this point, you've caught on to the fact that there's no relation between these two. This is just how these highborn assholes talk.
Good old uppity aristocrats.
Mm-hmm. The dwarf appears. If cousins are prepared to make bets. Both of the magistrates kind of give a side look at the dwarf like, if it wasn't politically wrong to have you beheaded.
If only.
The betting tablet goes around.
Oh.
What's it gonna be, Gil?
I'm gonna drop 4 on Gru.
4 on Gru. Okay. And we come back down to the corgis where they are feasting upon roasted sloth meat. Guinevere, if you happen to try some, it's a little gamey, it's a little salty, but has a texture that reminds you of beef brisket, and yet a flavor that reminds you somehow of barbecued Spam. You're not sure how these 2 flavors came together, or why, but depending on your opinion of that, you may or may not want to choose to hunt sloth again.
I'm kind of into it. You know what? That's sweet.
Barbecued Spam.
This point, Elizabeth turns to Winston. Winston, not another word about it. I've told you, it's not your problem. And besides, why are you so concerned?
Can I try
Yes.
and, like, eavesdrop, I guess. Just be like, just subtle.
Yeah, they're not hiding it from you.
Oh, sweet.
Winston kind of, whispers out to her, but you're close enough to hear. I've known your father for a long time. Winston, let's be honest. You knew my father before he was even born. You've known my grandfather for a long time. Winston kind of nods his head like, yeah, that's true. Listen, Winston, I understand. My father and you did lots of things over the years that would, let's just say, the two of you would be ashamed to have to answer for. But I also know that the two of you have your reasons for doing what you do. You act on behalf of the Empire for the Empire's interests. My father acted on behalf of our kingdom's interests, doing as he believed my grandfather would either approve or at least deny publicly, but still would approve. He took care of Talinar, you took care of the Empire. Every now and then the two of you had needs that met. I'm well aware that D'Artagnan was killing off those thieving gangsters of the Broken Blade. We all know it. He's been doing it only for, the past 100 years? My father smuggled him back and forth between the continents plenty of times, and he also smuggled him from coast to coast along the continent plenty of times, just like we did for you. You obviously had an easier time traveling because you had the backing of the Empire, always claiming it was for diplomatic purposes. Speaking of which, you've been assigned to go north. I am. Might I be curious to inquire why you're going to Basse? Winston kind of looks at her coyly. How did you know I was going to Basse? Because dwarves like to drink, and so do sailors. You dwarves might not get drunk, but you love to sing and you love to gossip, especially when you think everyone's too drunk to remember.
Fair enough.
He kind of looks at her. Fair. I'm going to Basse because there's some curiosities about the developments of the Elven's navy. As you know, Basse is where they build and construct most of their ships. It's also where the largest portion of their military navy lays, I'm well aware. After all, of the 7 ships my father owns, 5 of them do happen to be military ships. The 5 that you never talk about. 3 of which I believe I don't think the Empire would like us to talk about. He gives her a coy look. Well, let's just hope they never have to be used, shall we? I would hope not. I don't want to have to explain where those toys came from, and I don't think the Empire wants to explain why their logo's on them.
Oh.
Agreed. So what is it that has you most concerned? Trade secrets, or potential for conflict? Or both? Trade secrets. Ah. So do you think that they're going to perfect the Rune Runner before you do? Who said we hadn't perfected the Rune Runner? And who do you know talking about the Rune Runner? I know that for whatever reason, the Empire is obsessed with getting that ship caught up to the most modern technology. Though why you insist on restoring a ship that's over 1,000 years old is beyond me. Do your connections or do my dwarves just have loose tongues? My father said that he heard it from Lockhart himself. You see an eyebrow raise. It just so happened that about 10 years ago, when we were in Willow... Ah, he nods his head. You must have been there upon the anniversary. Yes. Master Lockhart and the Empress were paying their respects at their mother's grave. I see. So he drank with the master, did he? He did, and had the headache the next day to pay for it. You see Winston kind of smile. If I didn't know from his height, I would say he was a dwarf.
God damn.
I agree. At about this point, it's time for you all to place your bets. Guinevere, you said
all right.
Therese, how much?
I was gonna go 2 on Fengul.
2 on Fangcall. All right. The dwarf comes out, raises his hands. Neither fighter even waits for him to call out their names as they walk forward. He looks a little disappointed on his face, like, oh, come on, guys. This is what I
It's fun.
Yeah. He says it anyway. Fangcall versus Gru. Champions. All of you. But now we shall see who is the strongest armed fighter. And he drops his hands. Thankul and Gru both clash in a slow but powerful fury. Thankul's sword finding only shadows harder than armor as it tries to bite into Gru, as Gru deftly uses his scythe to deftly rip into Thankul's shield. Thankul raising her shield each time, catching each swing of Gru's blade, and trying her best to counter-swing only to be caught into the wisping shadows that move around him. Thankul's shield watching as the shavings of metal that peeled through it with each swing across the surface of the scythe. Thankul steps back and again attempts a deep thrust into Gru's side. Gru steps barely, moving his feet, shifting, so that as her blade comes around, her blade catches the side of his robes, and he twists his body, turning so that he spins, rolling his body along the edge of the sword, and brings his scythe with one deep, powerful blow into the side of Thankul's shield as she raises it to block the blade. A screeching sound of metal grinding through metal can be heard, as a deep guttural scream erupts out of Thankul's mouth. The two fighters step away to separate from each other, but Gru's scythe, still held in one hand as he steps back to demonstrate distance between them, reveals that he's hooked through the shield and through the forearm. Scythe piercing between the forearm and passing through the two bones of the arm of Fangkul's shield arm.
Ooh.
Oh my god.
Fangkul drops her sword and immediately raises her hand, not wishing to take any more damage from Gru's scythe, lest her arm suffer a more permanent wound that's not so easily healed.
Let's go, baby Gru!
Glory!
The crowd applauds immensely. You guys come up 33 silver.
Fuck.
That's hot.
That's hot.
So we're at 81?
Well, so far, just for the betting, that puts you at, let's see here, 30 plus 10 is 40, so that puts you at 45.
We're
Just
45
from-
up from, okay.
Just for the betting.
Ah.
Yeah, I haven't added it to your guys' total yet, but that would be 45 silver plus 36.
Got it.
Whew.
You're almost at gold.
Almost.
No kidding.
Almost.
The announcer calls out about the fighters. Gru left and standing there. I give you your champion, Death Warden Gru of the Armored Combat Competition. Gru is presented with a prize of bouquets of flowers that are brought out to mark him as a champion, as well as the knowledge that he has won the prize purse of 20 platinum.
Ugh.
The crowd
Woo!
applauds and cheers for their local head warden of their local Temple of Styx. Gru bows his head to the crowd and politely waves with one hand as he rests his war scythe across the other. Not basking in his victory so much as he humbly accepts his victory.
Oh, that was pretty sweet.
Oh my
That
god.
was pretty sick.
I'm glad we have so much money now. Ugh. Once a month.
We still got betting to do.
We do indeed.
So, cousin, do tell me, that Death Warden of yours has put on quite the display. Do you think he could possibly what, cousin? Well, I'm just curious. Clearly one so strong that he's able to cut through steel in such a fashion. Have you ever thought about seeing if he could possibly take on against the walking catastrophe, is what you're so stumbling around? Well, I'm just saying. The catastrophe hasn't walked across our continent for at least 1,000 years. 1,000 years, I think you're being a bit facetious. He was only here but 400 years ago. Nonetheless, cousin, time is such a fleeting thing. Yes, I suppose it is. So tell me, do you think I don't think that the Death Warden has any intention of finding his scythe clashing against the walking chaos that is the King of Kings? But I'm sure that if that king had happened to pay us a royal visit, that I'm sure Master Gru, along with his pupils, would be willing to fight alongside the barracks. Why? Has there been word? Well, the council. You mean the Council of Nouveau? Yes. The council is concerned, after all. As you said, it's been 400 years. How good of you to remember. Yes. Well, it's been 400 years, and there hasn't been word from him walking across the Belsong either. And he hasn't been upon the Ogre nations or anywhere else. We don't know where he's been. And with so much time going by, the council does grow nervous. Do they think that for some reason that he would be wandering the desert in search of Nouveau? Do they think he could find it? I don't think Nouveau's in any risk any more than you do. After all, aside from those of us who have been there, only the chosen can find it. And I highly doubt the King of Kings is blessed by our goddess. Yes, so why do you bring it up, cousin? Well, if he does appear, I thought it would be interesting for you and I to particularly work out an agreement. Perhaps with the forces of Basset and Corvus could unite. I'm listening. Well, if either of us happens to have word or identify that the King of Kings is strolling about, maybe if we took the fight to him, we could keep the chaos from happening. I'll be honest with you, cousin. If I hear word that the King of Kings is in Dresselhime, I will send every warrior in my city to your aid right away. Matter of fact, I would be willing to leave my very walls defenseless even from the goblins, should he be sighted. At these words, you notice that the other magistrate does not look as pleased as she should at hearing that he would send all his warriors there. Make a history check for me.
All right. I do have some history. Nice. 90.
Ooh, that's good. So you remember from your education of reading history books as a child, something that your mother beat into you because she wasn't going to have a barbarian for a son inherit the family riches.
Out here looking like Chi-Chi to go on.
You know that the King of Kings appeared at the end of a holy war roughly 1,000 years ago. He's said to be a walking mechanical monstrosity that has a demon's soul as his power source. And that he's called the walking monstrosity because apparently he shows up and you understand why the other magistrate kind of feels like she's been slapped in the face at the sweet words of, I will give you my full support and send you all of my warriors, is because the walking monstrosity is said to not just go anywhere, but to go where he finds the most power.
Oh.
Oh, damn. So he's just like, oh, have fun, cousin. Here's everybody I have.
Yes, as he's attracted to power. You can choose whether to laugh or not in game. I'll leave it to you.
Just I won't not laugh, but just like a small smile just across my face, just trying to hide it.
All right. And at that point, the betting dwarf appears. The next contest is the monsters versus combatants. Teams of 5 fighting against monsters. You have the Valkyrie of Vilos fighting a giant emerald serpent. The crew of the SS Wup fighting a mountain troll. The Bravehearts fighting an armored desert scorpion. The apprentices of the Temple Styx fighting a D-winged manticore. And the betting pay will be half of whatever you bet.
So how exactly does this work? Is it just like every team will fight, and if that team actually wins, you get money, or is it based off like some point system for the teams of like, oh, the Valkyries got 30 points and the SS Whoop only had 29?
First of all, you don't have to bet on the teams. You can bet on the monsters if you like.
Okay.
Yes. This is they kill the monster or they lose.
Got it.
Got it.
Round 2, whoever makes it to round 2, they have 4 black drakes that they've captured. Now, if all four teams win, then it'll be all 4 teams against the drakes, and it will devolve into a point system. If, say, only half the teams make it, that's still fine. There's still 4 drakes.
Gotcha.
Oh no.
Alright, so the first round is, win or lose.
Yeah.
Qualifiers. Second round, point-based. Got it.
It's point-based if they all win.
So if no teams win, they just let the drinks go.
Against the other monsters.
Oh.
Oh, sweet.
Yes, so for example, let's say that the mountain troll were to win. That means it would be the 3 teams that proceed forward, plus a mountain troll, plus 4 drakes.
Oh god.
Oh god. Jesus Christ.
This is gonna be a spectacle.
This is gonna be fun. Y'all, I know that we said we were betting on the Wups, but I don't know, those 4 drinks are looking pretty tough.
That's not till the second round.
Oh, good point.
We still have time. We still have time to see how the qualifiers go. But I'm not gonna lie, a giant armored desert scorpion. Like, I don't know much about the Bravehearts, but I'm just saying.
That's Richard.
Those are Richard's people.
Oh, those are Richard's people. All right, maybe not.
We can bet on multiple people, right?
Yes, you can.
Sweet.
So, Gelt, you have the first betting opportunities.
I'll bet 3 on the Valkyrie of Vilos and 1 on the Wup.
We're talking in silver, I'm assuming?
In silver, yes. Yeah.
Okay, 3 on the Valkyrie. And you said 1 on the Wup. All right. Excellent. Okay. And next we'll go down. Oh, before we end that, you will leave your little encounter with. You know, cousin, what do you say between just you and I? I will put. I think I would like to bet on the Bravehearts taking the competition. Between you and I, of course. And what exactly do you have in mind, cousin? Well, it is my word that I heard that you received a shipment of brandy from Avondale. Indeed. I've heard that Avondale apple brandy is quite the, you want it because you want to send it back to Nuvo, don't you? Trying to earn points with the council, cousin? I'm willing to bet a ship. A ship? You assume to take everything that I have, then. I want every bottle and barrel. What ship? How about the Glaflone? It's a decent trade ship, capable of going along the coasts with little difficulty, if given the weather properly, can even go out to sea. Okay, cousin. But the Bravehearts have to win. Not just the first round, but the competition overall. And I'm going to bet on the Valkyrie to make things fair. If neither of our teams win, then neither of us pays, and I'll still send you back home with a few barrels of brandy. And in exchange, I wouldn't mind having to have some of that silk that your people make those ships sails from. Say, 1,000 gold bars weight worth? Agreed. As long as those barrels you're talking about aren't mere casts, but say equal weight in gold? Agreed. The dwarf who's been standing there, who was taking bets, pulled out a piece of paper and wrote down their bet for them before either of them had a chance to call for it.
He was ready. He was
Fucking
prepared.
rich people, man.
Could have been us.
Out here about to stay humble when I get that bag. Fudge.
All right, one of you. The betting has come around to you. At this point, the crew is. You see that the competitors are starting to flood into the arena. You see the 5 members of the Whuppie crew who are stretching and doing their things in the arena, and the crowd around you, being their crewmates, are all getting very, very loud, whooping and hollering.
I definitely want to bet on the Corgi crew. I think I want to put 3 on the crew.
3 silver on the crew. You got it.
And then I'm gonna put 1 on the armored desert scorpion.
1 on the armored scorpion. All right.
I think that's all for me.
All right. Adonis, you and Lephistus has led you to an actual seating area now.
For
So
sure,
that
for sure.
you guys have left the halls and actually gone up and found the nice seated area. Though you notice the area that you're sitting in is more like a dugout, the way it's cut into the arena wall.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, considering where we were at.
Mm-hmm. And the 2 of you are now seated. They've brought varieties. A server has come and offered beers and wines and all that. So the 2 of you, obviously, Lephistus has helped himself to another wine. He's lit another cigarette, smoking, enjoying the show, and he's going over to you. I strongly recommend that you look into finer weapons, especially when you're out in the field. After all, you can never have too many weapons. Have you been to the Fletchers yet?
I've not been to the Fletchers yet, but I am, wanting to look into getting finer weapons. I know I had my party buy me some additional arrows, and they spoke of some better arrows that I could be using for my crossbow.
Not just better arrows, but check out the Fletcher. The Fletcher can make you some custom components for your crossbow bolts that'll give you an edge in a particular situation. And remember that if you're going to be out in the field, no matter how good your sword is, it always doesn't hurt to have a backup. Last thing you want to do is break it on something and then not have a replacement.
Yes, yeah. That is the plan. Hopefully, all my betting is going well between me and my party.
Well, why don't you take a look and find out?
I'll look at my stone to.
All right, so looking at your stone, your current balance, because I'm not going to subtract the bets that are currently in place. Because I got to make sure my math is right, because I don't want to be wrong. You're currently at 71 silver, 6 copper.
Okay.
Whew.
Not subtracting for the bets that are currently out.
Yeah, and I think that totaled up to be like 7 silver.
Something like that.
So Lephistus is going to drop you information that will fetch you all of this information. Make sure I put it in the right tab. You now have price listings for the tailor, the tannery, the general store, the smithy, the weaponsmith, the Fletchers, and the lumberyard.
Nice. I love Lephistus. I'm gonna thank him so much for all the information. It saves me the time of going around and finding it out myself.
He's been ranting at you this whole time, and I'm like, I don't think we need to roleplay all this.
No.
Okay, and time for your betting. What's it going to be?
All right, so I'm gonna bet 6 silver on the whoops to put us at an even 10 overall. And I want to bet 2 silver on the Temple of Sticks.
2 on the temple? All right.
I was thinking better against the temple, not gonna lie, dog.
I was thinking about it at first, and I was like,
they can take a
I
manticore.
think they could take it.
Yeah.
All they do is train. All they do is train.
All they do is train. That is fair.
Okay.
So I'd imagine, only the best of the best went out there.
That's fair.
They did say apprentices.
Only the best of the best apprentices went out
there.
The best of the best apprentices.
All right. The Valkyrie take their position. The gates begin to rumble on the other side of the arena. And before the gate can even completely rise, the giant diamond-shaped head of a brilliantly gleaming in about 7 different shades of greens, emeralds, scaled serpent, its head about the size of a Volkswagen, peers out from underneath, and its long, 50-foot-long body comes curling up. It raises up and hisses as it licks its tongue at the air. It hisses at the direction of a priestess who's standing on the wall, her hands clenched together. As it licks and sniffs, you notice some of its spit from it whips off its tongue. At about that moment that the spit should smack the priestess, you see a dome of light flicker. And you realize the priestesses have been maintaining a wall dome of light over the arena the entire time, ensuring the safety of the crowd.
Damn.
Wow.
A lot of work.
That's why there's 4 of them.
Fair enough.
The announcer, who's standing away out of the arena this time, Also, the military troops that were standing in there have now moved to the upper wall of the arena, all holding their spears and halberds outward to keep in case the serpent decides to rush the wall.
Fair enough.
The signal is given and the Valkyrie rush forward. The Valkyrie using spears to jab at and bait the serpent as the serpent turns its attention to them. 3 of them being batted at by the serpent as they bat back at it to agitate it with their spears, while 2 others shoot crossbows the serpent. Finally, one of them hitting the serpent in the eye, followed by the other one hitting it in the other eye. Now the serpent blind in both eyes. It rushing around the arena, slamming its body, biting and hissing, blindly thrashing. The Valkyrie charge forward with spears and swords in hand, and quickly turn the length of the serpent's body into a pincushion. As the serpent grows weaker, thrashing about, they work their way further up until they're finally at the head, where one of the Valkyrie runs a spear through its skull.
Ooh, yeah, baby! That's what I'm talking about. That's what I've been waiting for.
All in all, the slaying takes about 10 minutes.
That'd be a lot of turns.
But the serpents, the serpent never stood a chance against the Valkyrie's tactics. The crowd cheers, happy to see the giant serpent destroyed, but has a very unexpected view of how it went down. So, that you guys had a total of 10 silver on the Valkyrie, which means you got 15 silver in return.
Nice.
Whoo!
So you're plus 15 for this round so far.
Hell
The Valkyrie leave. A bunch of livestock animals are brought in. Chains with hooks are driven into the serpent's body as the oxen are used to pull the giant serpent out of the arena. leaving a trail of blood and gore in the sand. Once the arena is clear, the crew of the SS Whoops enters. The arena fills with the hoots and hollers that are almost ear-harming if it wasn't for the fact that you already had tinnitus from a caster being fired in a sewer.
Twice.
Never. It would never happen.
Never twice, let alone once.
But the crew of the SS Whoop is just absolute hysterics. Elizabeth clapping for her crew. Bill almost falling over as one of the other corgis grabs him by his little tail to keep him from falling into the arena as he leans forward and claps.
Oh.
I love Bill. Protect Bill at all costs.
You hear a cheering holler come from the giant ham.
He's on their side.
Number 1 customers.
Yeah,
right?
They bought him out. He's been able to watch the rest of the fights because they bought everything he had.
He's just chilling.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a happy ogre who's wearing that ham costume. The troll comes rushing into the arena as soon as the gates are open. The corgis themselves howl as the 5 of them rush forward. 3 of the crew run in and begin making slashes as they run between the troll's legs, cutting at its shins and calves with sabers. The troll bellows as it stomps its feet, reaching down with its hands, trying to grab each of the crew as they run between its fingers, daring the risk of being caught, slashing at the webbing of the fingers as they hold their sabers above their heads and run through. They're tiny, but they're fast little bastards. Two of the crew members produce a chain and run between the legs, letting the very motion of the swinging, stomping around troll help tangle itself up until finally it descends to the floor, falling much like the ATVs of Star Wars movie episode.
Nice.
Yeah, doing the whole Hoth scene with the troll. The troll falls into the ground, and as the troll falls, immediately members of the crew begin running up along the Spinny stabbing at the troll's hands, keeping it from wanting to place its hands down and on the ground. One of the trolls runs along the back of the troll, a saber in each hand, digging into the flesh along the spine as it runs up from the legs to the back.
Oh, damn.
Of the troll.
God.
Other crew members rush forward and thrust into the troll's neck of it, trying to avoid its throbbing head as it thrashes back and forth, bellowing. The troll that runs up the corgi that ran up the troll's back spins its sabers above its head as it runs forward, jumps, landing on its knees, driving both sabers through the back of the troll's head and out through its eyes.
Yeah!
That's what I'm talking about, Whoops. Let's go!
Damn.
For flavor reasons, I want, like, Adonis to be standing in the dugout just, like, screaming, like, yeah! Whoops! Let's go!
Getting rowdy at a baseball game.
Get real into it.
Lephistus is chuckling.
I just turned to him. Is there anybody else in this dugout with us?
Just the two of you and some elven servants.
Elven servants for Lephistus, or
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so they would have context for this. I just look at Lephistus. Just because I finished the job you assigned to me doesn't mean I can't cheer for the people.
His servants have no context to that.
That's fine.
They're house servants. Their job is to serve drinks and food. But nonetheless, Lephistus looks at you. I assume you must have made a pretty penny then. All right. With that said, I think I made a mathematical error in our last call out. Only one of you had money sitting on the Valkyrie.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
No?
Oh.
Did you vote for Valkyrie too?
I didn't vote for
I
him.
voted the Valkyrie. Or
I thought.
Yeah.
Oh no! Okay,
No,
I was going to. I
also
voted on the armored scorpion instead.
Yes.
My bad.
So
yeah, I put 3 on the
yeah,
score.
yeah. This round, you guys made 15 silver.
Okay, and then last round, what did we make then?
Last round for the Valkyrie, because only one of you bet on him, that is 4 silver and 50 copper.
Yeah, it should have been
Yeah.
silver 50.
Yeah. So 4 silver in return with 50 copper. Yep.
Cool. So we're at 19 and
Whatever
50
y'all say,
right
I'm
now.
horrible at math.
That's okay. I got it because you bet 3 silver. All right, that takes care of that. All right, so you all made good money. Lephistus laughs at you. I'm assuming you made a good bit of coin on this fight. The corgi crew in the crowd is roaring so loud that their small section is blaring out the rest of the stadium.
Good.
Good.
They deserve it.
Yeah, they definitely deserve it after everything they've been through.
The corgis in the arena are holding up their sabers. A group of them they line up and they do the whole Cloud Strife sword spin.
Nice.
And they're doing good. You hear Elizabeth go, and that's why my father always insists on buying blades infused with silver.
You know what?
Oh.
Trolls have a regenerative ability, but the passive regenerative ability is cancelled out when struck by silver. So,
Love it.
That being done, the next fight begins, as the mountain troll is also unceremoniously dragged out with the aid of livestock.
Damn. I'm kind of hoping that a group of adventurers does die in the fight just to see how they drag them out.
What? Jesus!
I just want to see how they get dragged out of the ring.
Also, probably just as unceremonious.
A group of stadium workers comes rushing in, and they're like scooping the sand, trying to hide the gore. It's not really so much to hide it, so much as to make it look a little more pristine before the beginning of the next fight. As the corgi crew goes walking out, you see the group of the Braves walking in. The corgi crew looks at them, shit-eating smiles across their faces. The Bravehearts come strolling in. 5 of them, well prepared, lightly armed. And the crowd hushes as once again another set of gates in the stadium begin to creak open. This time a banging can be heard against the doors of the gates as the creature behind it clearly impatient for things to get started. The gate gets about halfway up when all of a sudden this giant scorpion comes bursting forth. Its hard brown and black scales shining despite the texture giving sort of a matte look across it. Each claw is as large as an orc.
Whew.
The stinger blade that comes off of its point, easily the length of a rapier.
Damn.
Oh my god.
3 of you could ride on the back of this thing.
Whew.
Oh my god.
Interesting.
They don't even wait for the announcer to start things as the scorpion charges them. The Braves move with swift speed and cunning action. The scorpion lashing out at them, striking, its tail jabbing at them, its claws reaching for them, it's spinning its body. The Braves with a massive set of pinchers that it tries to clamp them with. It's a leprade among the group that jumps atop its back, spinning its spear in its hands. It tries to wedge the spear between the armor plates of the scorpion on the back, trying to dig deep into the scorpion's head. The scorpion's tail lunges forward as it gets caught, literally catching the point of the tail as if he was trying to catch a spear shaft. An ogre grabs it and gets slid back against one of the pillars in the arena as he's trying to keep the tail from piercing his chest. The other 3 of the group, running around, hollering at the beast and doing their best to distract it and keep it from using its claws to pinch or cut in half their comrade who's fighting with their tail. Finally, the leprade, with a lunge of its entire body, jumps into the air and comes down and literally kicks the end of the spear, driving the spear past the armored plates and into the scorpion's brain.
Oof.
Oh man.
The scorpion collapses into the sand, twitching as the ogre holding the tail is no longer struggling to keep the tail from jutting forward, but the whole body being shaken by the death shakes of the scorpion.
Ooh.
The crowd cheers. The Bravehearts raise their hands and do a fairly good performance of waving to the crowd. Clearly a crowd favorite as people cheer and some people even throw items into the ring to celebrate them. And nobody bet on the Bravehearts.
Yeah, no.
Only against.
One person bet against them.
Yes, I did.
All right. So that takes you guys' 19 that you were up and brings it down to 18.
Sad.
Oh, poor babies.
Let's hope my boys from Temple of Styx can do something. They got a whole 2 silver riding on them.
The youths from the Temple of Styx enter the arena.
How youthful do these youths look?
The oldest one looks like the oldest one looks 15.
Oh fuck me! God
Jesus.
damn it! This Manticore's gonna eat him alive.
I told you.
You know what? I trust in Bargoth to have passed down great teachings.
I don't.
The Manticore,
Absolutely, fucking fucked things up when he wanted to.
the Manticore is freed. Once again, the announcer barely able to get through his introductions before the beast decides to start the fight. The youths that entered come in bearing spears and shields.
Oh no.
They rush the Manticore, spears and shields at the ready. The fight is easily the longest of the encounters, as the Manticore, despite having its wings removed, proves itself to be a worthy foe, its fire breath roaring forth from its lion's head, as from its back, its viper's tail lashes out at the others. The conflict comes to an end only when the phalanx of the group is broken, and the manticore has pinned one of the youths down with its lion's paw as its hooved back legs kick at members that are chasing it up, that are trying to get close to save their ally. The serpent's tail ready to strike down, the lion's head coming to bite. The crowd erupts in a roar of shock and awe as Master Warden Gru has interfered. For surely the youth would have died as the lion's head falls split in two, rendered by the Death Warden's scythe. The serpent's tail, open-mouthed, laying on top of the youth's chest. If the lion's head wouldn't have finished him, the venom of the tail surely would have.
Ooh.
Damn, I guess no money.
Warden Master Gru turns and apologizes with a bow to the crowd. The dwarven announcer stomps into the middle of the ring. They exchange hushed words. But in the end, the two of them seem to have come to agreement. Master Warden Gru apologizes for his intervention, but not wanting to see one of his young brave youths cut down so early. Ashamed to see such youths cut in their prime. And you hear the crowd cheer in agreement as they begin to applaud for the youths and their well effort against the fearsome beast. Those of you who bet against the beast shall receive your coin in return. Those of you who bet on behalf of the beast shall be deemed the winners due to Master Warden Gru's interference.
Didn't lose anything then.
Yeah, broke even.
The crowd cheers for the youths as they sheepishly make their way from the arena. One person calling out, "You did good! You're young! Be happy to fight another day!" Some of the more veteran adventurers actually stand up and put their fists above their hearts to salute the youths as they make their way out of the arena, signaling to them without a loss of respect.
Nice.
That's really sweet.
Aw.
I mean, they're just youths, you know?
Yeah,
Well,
they're
I'm
just
glad
kids.
we didn't see a child die just now.
Not yet.
So I'm gonna just
No.
guess there was a role for the Master Warden to come in, right?
There was a role for all of this.
Well, yeah, no. But my main question was,
Yes, a kid could have died.
no,
Oh, yeah.
obviously the kid could have died. How close was he to failing his role?
I'll be honest with you, I don't have the results in front of me because I rolled all these like a week ago.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
It wasn't anything nail-biting. I remember that much. I think they had like a 10% chance
Oh, okay.
that he would intervene on their behalf, so. But, yeah. Lephistus chuckles. Who would have thought the Death Warden was such a softie?
Me. I definitely, you know.
That's going to cost him at least half of his prize purse. I'm sure the dwarves were going to want him to cover their losses. A pity. But, then again, that still leaves him with 10 platinum. I'm sure that's more than his temple possibly needs.
I wish I had fucking 10 platinum.
All right. This brings us to the next round of betting. The Valkyrie, the crew of the SS Swup, and the Bravehearts versus 4 Black Drakes.
So how exactly does the point system work? Is it just like...
Who kills the most or who does the most damage?
Okay. Alright, well, I think I know who I'm going with.
Who are you going with?
I'm gonna bet 3 silver on the whoops.
Okay, 3 silver on the wall. All right, Guinevere.
I think I'm gonna go with the same thing.
Okay, so we have a total of 6 on the wub. And Gelt.
Another 4 on the Valkyries.
4 on the Valkyrie. Okay. And this is a 5-to-1 betting. Okay.
If we win this, this will be nice.
No kidding.
All right, you said 4, right?
Yes.
Just to make sure I remembered that correctly. Okay. All right. The 3 teams enter the arena and are spaced equally apart from the gate that is going to release the drakes. The Valkyrie come out banging weapons against shields and raising their arms, but the crowd, about half the orcs in attendance, cheer for them. There's another group of orcs in the crowd that mildly hope for them, but aren't going to cheer for them. Clearly, the religious divide in the crowd of orcs is still very present, even after 1,000 years.
Understandable.
The crew of the SS Swap, again, their cheering section is the loudest. You'll notice that about only one member is different in this group than from the group that fought earlier. And then you realize, it's not that they changed members, it's that they changed armaments. And the same group of the Bravehearts comes walking in, though they too appear to have changed armaments. The drakes are loose. The Valkyrie take on one of the drakes. One of the Valkyrie jamming her shield into the open maw of the drake as a force of flames come shooting out both sides of the drake's mouth, directed by the shield that's blocking the exhaust. Another one of the orcs grabs the Valkyrie by her back to help hold her in place so she's not blasted backwards from the force of the drake's fire. The crew of the SS Swap draw caster pistols and begin shooting at one of the drakes. While the 3 of them are doing that, giving off a thunderous volley, the drake screams as it turns back, deciding better to flee from the little humanoid dogs that use such loud and painful weapons, only to find that 2 of the crew had already circled around behind it and are holding war ballistas with chains as they begin to fire the darts of the ballistas, digging into the drake's flesh as they pound the anchors of the chains into the sand to help hold the drake in place, beginning to limit the drake's movement. Harassed by pistols and full of chains and holes being added to it, the Bravehearts move in like a true organized group, shields raised, performing a phalanx made of 3, while 2 of them find gaps in their shields, firing over or through the gaps, firing bows at it, while their comrades make the gaps. The drake walks back, pushed backwards, trying to find an opening, but unsure about the pointy spears that keep waving in its face and the rain of arrows that threaten its eyes. It's forced back and pushed back until finally its back is pushed up against the wall, and they break their formation. 2 of them rushing under and begin stabbing at the soft underbelly with drawn swords. The Valkyrie, the first to finish their drake, immediately push on to the last drake that has pushed itself to another side of the ring. One of the Valkyrie spotting the 4th drake as it climbs all the way up to the top of a pillar, screaming down its angry cries at the warriors as it hears the killing of its kin. One of the Valkyrie turn, takes her tower shield, and slams it into the ground of the arena, and a wall of brilliant holy light erupts, cutting the arena in half, separating the Valkyrie and the drake from the other 3 parties in the arena. The Corgi crew and the Braves racing forward, the Corgis howling their displeasures as the Bravehearts curse at the Valkyrie in rage of her use of a Shield Maiden shield wall spell They fume knowing that they're not allowed to attack the wall, as the rules of the competition say they cannot attack other contestants.
Ooh.
Oh.
Limiting them so that they have to wait for the Valkyrie to either fail to kill the last of the Drake or get disqualified for attacking another contestant. The Valkyrie, using their crossbows to shoot at and annoy the Drake upon the pillar, eventually get the Drake to storm down from the pillar and find it defeated. Slain by only the 4 Valkyrie available, as the 5th one was forced to stay in place to maintain the shield wall. The Valkyrie, with the slaying of 2 Drakes, are declared the winners.
Yeah.
Damn.
With the subtraction of your losses, that brings you to a gain of 14 silver.
Damn.
Which brings us to 18 plus 14, 28, 32.
Is
So
our
that's-
total profit?
Just from this competition. Yeah.
Oof.
So that puts us at a gold, I think, right?
In total, you guys are over a gold if I include everything you have.
Yeah.
I think we're at like 110.
I know we're
110
well-
silver, something like that.
Well, let's see here. We'll take a moment to calculate this up. So, because we still have another round of betting and whatnot to go to.
Yeah.
I definitely
So-
thought we were closer to like 1 and 5.
So that brings us to 1 gold, 13 silver,
Oh, all right.
Ooh.
and 6 copper.
Nice.
Because, yeah, 45 plus 32 plus 36.
Yeah, no, that's pretty good.
Whew.
All right. Well, the magistrate leans forward, clapping. Ah, well done, well done. Which one of us bet on the Valkyrie?
Oh. Ooh.
I I remember their bet, but I could not remember who bet on what.
Oh, I did.
I'm not over there. I'm not worried about that. I'm hanging out with my boy Festus.
Ooh.
I'm at the popular kids table with all the drama.
I don't know if that's a popular kids table, but you got all the drama.
So, cousin, perhaps I send you with a cast or 2 of that fine brandy. I'm sure it will. You should share it with the crew that comes to deliver my ship.
Damn.
Yelled audibly chuckles a little bit at that one.
Well, cousin, I will have it sent to you immediately. As she rises. By the way, the council has asked me when exactly is it that you will be making your trip to Nouveau. They were quite disappointed that you did not make it this summer. And that you didn't make it this summer before that, or the one before that, or for the last 10 years. You are 10 years overdue for reporting before the council. Perhaps I will make my way to the council next summer, as running the district of Corvus has been quite taxing and most time-consuming. You, as a fellow magistrate, I'm sure understand. Though with my port being the port that everyone comes to travel through, cousin, I understand that you are more concerned about the security of your port, but that means that I must leave mine much more open. And with so many foreigners coming and going in our need of good relations with the countries elsewhere, I must be here. And my guests are so rudely in and out, I never know when will arrive. I simply cannot make time to go to Nouveau. Not to mention, have they taken care of those dreadful bandits that have been plaguing the desert? I wouldn't want anything that the precious tribute I bring to be claimed by such vulgar insolents as desert bandits. I assume you are speaking of the Fey Dean, cousin? Why, yes. The Fadine are quite the nuisance. I mean, it would be a shame if I brought a cartload of silver and brandy only to have the caravan raided, and such precious goods claimed by those vagrants. I really don't know why the council hasn't done something about them. Would you happen to know, cousin? After all, you are more inclined to share a mind with those that I am simply unworthy to understand. Being that I don't have the equipment that you do. Being such a lesser and all. Yes, cousin, I suppose with your inability to have all of your blood go to your head, I assume that you probably do need explanation of the elders and more intelligent. The council simply isn't afraid of the Fadine as you are. Perhaps if you were a bit more of what is between your legs, you wouldn't be so either. I'm sure if Athos was here, he wouldn't be afraid to travel through the desert. At the mention of Athos, you see a darkening of the magistrate's face. And you immediately see the smile leave the female magistrate's face as she realizes what she just said.
She fucked up.
I do apologize, cousin. I only heard yesterday. I shouldn't have said that. No, cousin, it's quite all right after all. Athos has been gone for quite some time. Though, if you would remember, Athos became a dragonborn 600 years ago. He would not be welcome in New Elfo, even if he wanted to go. As the council does not deem non-elves permitted, even our cousins. Yes, cousin. Well, if you'll excuse me, I believe I have made a fool enough of myself. Apollo, would you mind escorting a woman to a waiting seating area? Apollo, who hasn't really said much but has watched every fight in painstaking detail. Of course, Your Grace. Your Grace, Magistrate. Master Guild, if you will excuse her Lady Grace, I shall escort her so that she may recover. And he bows to the two of you and escorts her away.
Fair enough.
I do apologize, Master Guilt.
Oh, no worries.
She was speaking of one of my two sons, who recently I have discovered was, well, his body is being returned home, along with his brother.
It's parents should. It's always hard for to lose your family. It's hard.
That it is, but my sons decided a long time ago that they wanted to do their lives. I was saddened when Athos did not return after the reclaiming of Elsinore. But he wanted to stay in a new land and make a name for himself, and he did. He was quite well respected in Avondale. I'm glad to say at least one of my sons was respected. On that note, over at Elizabeth's camp, there's a bit of grumbling going on. Were they allowed to do that? There's no rules that say they couldn't. I say that was bullshit. Elizabeth rolls her eyes. Nothing says that they couldn't use magic to divide the arena. Yeah, but look, there are quite a few people that would say our use of casters would have been unfair as well. Oh well, it's not like we had anything betting that we couldn't risk. And there is an uproar as all about 20 of the corgis around you all begin growling. And you look over and you see a familiar Pantheran. Mishka is there. As she bows and approaches, Elizabeth raises a hand to silence her crew. What would you like here, servant of Richards? Master Richard has agreed to the terms of your bet. And she bows, and when she does, she produces a paper slip that's folded. Elizabeth takes the slip. Master Winston, would you mind being witness to this? She hands it to him for him to read. He reads it. Are you sure? Very. Elizabeth, this is... I understand. But a contract is a contract, and I'm the one that offered it. He hands the paper back to her. She takes out her stone. She touches it to the paper. A quick little flash. It's agreed to then. My grace requests that you have his ship in order for him. Tell your would-be lord that I expect him ready to sail first thing tomorrow's dawn, regardless of how hurt he is. Oh, and Mishka, I believe that it would be best probably if you don't stay in his cabin. I wouldn't want any of your feral inclinations to sully my cabins. After all, it smells like you've been traveling with him for quite some time. Maybe a few days to air out that musk. You see Mishka kind of tighten her fangs a little bit around. Her fangs come up here and she tightens her smile. I appreciate your concern for my condition, Lady Idrisil. But I assure you, there are no problems. And she turns. After all, who am I to stop his grace from having what he pleases? Some of us enjoy being women. And she turns and walks off.
Well, damn.
Yikes.
I just want to turn to Elizabeth and be like, what a bitch.
Elizabeth looks at you. I would think more of a slut, but yeah, sure, okay.
Perhaps both.
Well, no, I wouldn't. Terms I call my grandmother, I wouldn't call her.
Oh, I do apologize. I forget.
Not a problem. Every species has their own way of calling it. At which you see Bill kind of looking at her sideways. Don't worry, darling, nothing you need to worry about. All right. We are on to the last event. And the most important event. 8 fighters are called into the ring. The lycanthrope Volk, a lycanthrope who has the body of a bauble, stands before one seating area. Next to him is another lycanthrope, a female who has the body of and coloration of that of a Doberman, stands next to him. You guys recognize Volk as the bartender from that served you drinks at the cat house.
Oh!
Oh.
And he's standing there in his button-up shirt that's too small, wearing his vest that's too small. The Human Joe See a human stand up, flexing his arms at the crowd, trying to do his best crowd work. The Laprade Helios. The Orc Dora. The Orc Gutter. The Ogre Heldon. The Pantherin Bola, who's got a cool snow panther or a snow leopard kind of print to him. Richard the Braveheart. The large lion Pantherin raises his hands to the crowd. The crowd erupts in cheers. And the first round of betting begins. We will start with you, Gelt.
I'm gonna put 3 on Richard.
Are you betting overall or just for the round?
Just for the round.
Just for the round. Okay, we have 3 for Richard. All right.
And 1 for my boy Volk.
And 1 silver for Volk. All right. Guinevere.
I think I want to put 2 on Richard, 1 on Volk, and 1 on Helios, because I think it could be fun.
Okay. All right, not a problem. And 1 on Helios, you said.
Yes.
All right. All right. Adonis.
I'm gonna bet 3 on Volk, and 1 on Bola.
1 on Bola. All right. Okay. Volk and Joe walk up to each other, merely about 2 feet distance between each other after they raise their arms. So about 6 feet total between the 2 fighters as they get ready. Volk raises his arms, taking a boxer's stance. The signal is given. Joe rushes forward and immediately fast steps in. An open fury of punches just start raining in on Volk. For those of you who've watched the Netflix season of Baki, it's like when the prison criminal starts doing his Andor rush against Hanayama. All right, it's just a flurry of arms, just going nuts as he's raining down blows, and Volk is standing there, taking just blow after blow. He's catching him to his arm guards, keeping his guard up. He's dancing around. Joe starting to try to sidestep, trying to work around to get to Volk's side so that he can try to work his ribs, not finding himself inside on that frontward guard. Volk, having surprising footwork for someone so large, manages to continue to sidestep, keeping his footwork so that he keeps Joe in front of him so Joe can't get a side punch in. Joe raining down on the forearms of Volk. The shirt beginning to tear at the sleeves as the constant blows keep hitting it. Meanwhile, Volk pacing himself, waiting and waiting. Finally, after 180 seconds goes by, Joe's arms and lungs are burning. He has to take a moment to catch his breath. He takes a half second, pausing in his raining of blows as he starts to inhale. Volk surges forward. His right arm first catches, then his left, then his right again. The first blow hitting Joe in the forearms as Joe went to block. The second landing inside of his ribs so hard that he feels that he has to actually lift himself up and let his body move on his toes, otherwise risk feeling his ribs shatter. And the third blow landing its mark, connecting with Joe's exposed chin. The next thing Joe knows, he's staring at the sky, feeling his body rocking as he's carried out, waking up on the gurney that they're carrying him out of the ring on.
Perfect.
You all just made 10 silver.
Sweet.
Next fight. Helios comes in. Oh, gray jackrabbit, white fluff across the face, kind of giving him like a smile, even if he's not smiling. But he's all smiles with his giant buck teeth as he comes out. He even does a little backflip as he walks towards his area in the ring to try to work up the crowd.
Amazing.
Impressed, because Gelt still can't land the backflip that he's been trying to do for years.
The orc Dura walking out with both hands raised, giving the orc victory sign. Which, since you guys aren't orcs, I'll explain. The orc victory sign, they hold up all 5 fingers extended and then curl down their ring finger towards their palm.
Ooh.
And he holds out the orc victory sign on both sides, getting lots of orcs who, this time with no prejudice, every orc is cheering.
Yeah.
The fight begins. Helios moves in fast. His opponent, Durek, can't see the kick as he immediately does spinning a landing heavy kick straight into the orc, sending him down to the sands of the arena. Dura pushes himself up. Before he can get all the way up, he finds his head back into the ground as a second flipping kick lands at the back of his head, smashing Dura's face into the sand. The next kick spins along, third kick landing in the midsection of Dura as he feels a wave of shock as all of the wind leaves his lungs in a gasp that can be heard all the way up in the VIP booths. His body bouncing across the sand until finally coming to a halt as he lands against the arena wall. Robbed not only of his victory, but of his consciousness, as the lack of air in his body causes him to black out. The orcs you just see orc jaws hanging open all across the arena. As Laprade, especially the local Laprade, are cheering their hearts out. You hear a joke made by one of the corgis in the group. If those Laprade aren't careful, some of the children are going to be born mid-fight.
God damn.
Helios, you guys cut back 2 silver on that.
Sweet. I did.
Yeah.
Oh,
She did.
I only bet 1 silver on him, but
hey,
Well, yeah,
for funsies.
because you get the 1 back you bet.
yeah.
So, all right. Next, so actually, yeah, technically, hold on, because I compounded your other winnings, so that's 5 plus 1. So you guys are up 6 right now.
Nice.
Next fight, the orc Gutter and the ogre Helden, both walking out, rolling their arms and their shoulders, and cracking their bones in their necks as they walk up to each other. And these two don't even bother to put any distance as they both walk up, Gutter looking directly up into the face of Helden, who looks down at him by a good 8 inches height difference, the two of them threatening to touch noses as they stare at each other. The signal is given. Helden and Gutter both stand in the very center of the arena, neither of them willing to move as they just begin wildly swinging on each other. This is just watching 2 heavyweight boxers refuse to give ground, neither bothering with defense. Instead, both fighters choosing to have an all-out slugfest, raining blows, just constant swinging, hitting each other at the same time, not even waiting to go blow for blow, so much as they're just going with as many as they can, hitting each other as they're dealing out blows to each other. It is an all-out bloodbath. The impacts of each fist hitting against wet, blooded flesh can be heard like the cracks of whips, mixed with the sound thud, a bass note of hammers colliding into stone as the two smash into each other repeatedly. This goes on, their blood raining down with each blow, painting a visage, a horrific, barbaric painting into the sand of their blood being sprayed. as if a painter had the shakes all over their beautiful sandy canvas. This would go on for 5 long minutes.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Even as the fighters' swings become slower and easier to see, neither fighter ever stopping from their swinging, continuing to go. Finally, as the 9-minute mark reaches into the fight, Gutter raises his arms in victory as Halden's knees hit the sand only mere seconds before Gutter's do. The crowd roars, cheering on their love for the gruesome and fearsome display put on before them. None will ever question the willingness of these two fighters to show their all, as there's clearly enough blood paved into the sand to look like they both committed a murder.
Yeesh.
All kinds of bad.
Right.
Bola versus Richard.
Come on, Bola.
Bola comes in and he's doing the whole hopping on his feet, dancing and waving to the crowd like he's Bruce Lee situation.
Okay, so he's about to get his ass whooped. Got it.
Richard walks out, arms relaxed, cracking his neck, stares at Bola. The signal is given. Bola never knew what happened.
Yep.
As soon as the fight started, Richard closed the distance, which was about a good 15 feet between them, and placed a kick to the side of Bola's head. Bola would then proceed to bounce every 5 feet for 35 feet across the arena until he smashes into one of the arena pillars, bringing him to a halt.
Oh my god.
He's immediately rushed out of the arena with a cloth over his face.
Understandable.
Jesus.
Richard is seen at the side of the arena having one of Bola's fangs removed from the top of his foot.
Ooh, God.
Oh. My god.
The crowd roars in applause.
Understandable.
I'm kidding.
So that's another +5 for what y'all bet on Richard. Bringing you guys up to a +11.
Hell yeah.
That being said, the next fights are announced before the betting. Gutter versus Helios. Volk versus Richard.
Ooh.
What do you guys want to do? We'll start off with Guinevere.
I think I want to put 3 on Richard and 2 on Helios.
3 on Richard. Okay, so we got 3 on Richard. And you said 2 on Helios?
Yes.
Okay, 2 on Helios. Okay. And next we go to Adonis.
I'm gonna bet 3 on Richard and 3 on Volk.
You can't.
Wait.
They're
They're against each other.
Oh, I thought Volk was fighting Helios.
Nope,
No.
that's
No,
not
it's
the way.
Volk versus Richard, Gutter versus Helios.
Yep.
And Gutter took a beating.
I'm gonna bet 2 on Gutter. Even though he took a beating, he's still, giving it his all out there.
2 on Gutter. So 3 on Richard, 2 on Gutter?
Yeah.
Okay, and Gelt.
3 on Volk and 2 on Helios.
Okay, so let me see here. I've got 3. So we've got a total of 6 on Richard, is what I'm reading there.
Yeah, because those both of them bet 3.
Yep. Okay. And then we had 3 on Volk.
Yep.
All right. And then 2 on Helios and 2 on Gutter.
I thought it was 4 on Helios.
4 on
I didn't
Helios.
bet on Helios. I didn't bet on Helios.
I did.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
4 on Helios. There we go. So 4 on Helios and 2 on Gutter.
come on, Gutter.
All right. I don't have any RP for you guys on this one.
Understandable.
All right.
Just let me work out this. Go to the right screen. Typed way too much. All right. Because, yeah, you bet 2 on Gutter. All right. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, we kind of bet on everyone this
No,
time.
no,
Yeah, a
that's
little
okay.
bit, yeah.
That's okay. It's all good. That's the fun of it. All right. Gutter and Helios take to the ring. Gutter, standing tall, his flesh wounds healed thanks to a potion. His arms and ribs wrapped heavily, though. Evidence that some bones might not have been so easily healed.
Oof.
Helios comes and takes his position. The signal is given. Helios springs forward, deciding that he's going to take advantage of his slower, injured foe. Helios' foot comes to a stop. His face contorts in pain as Gutter takes Helios' outstretched leg in one hand, catching the kick, and drives his elbow down and through the Laprade's knee.
Yeah!
Oh
Let's
my
go,
God!
baby! Let's go, Gutter! Adonis is just really getting into this right in front of Lephes. Like,
Snapping of the bone. A distinct sound, only amplified almost by the sounding gasps of the audience.
woo! Gutter!
The crowd then turns to a roar and an applause as the crowd's stun and amazement stands tribute to the orc's endurance and skillful execution of power.
You know what?
Skillful execution of a knee. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was a it committed crimes against something.
Laprade race.
It committed crimes against the orc race, and so he had he had to rectify that.
He had to end it quick.
Yeah.
It definitely rectified, let me tell you.
Helios is, needless to say, carried out.
I thought he'd walk.
I figured he would hop, you know?
And the arena is set for the next fight. Volk strides back up, though this time his shirt and vest are removed with the aid of his helper. He then lifts his arms and flexes, bending his wrists into an upwards serpent pose, flexing his back for the crowd to see. Revealing this logo across his back. If you look at where the Coliseum is on the map, you should be able to see it. I need to move you guys up there. No one said nothing.
Okay, hold on. To be fair, I was making magic cards earlier, so I was not exactly looking at the screen.
All right.
Oh.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Do we recognize that symbol at all to anything, or is it just is it new to us?
The upper symbol is the symbol of the moon goddess. 2 crescent moons and a full moon.
Okay.
The lower symbol is the symbol of the royal family of Talinar.
Oh my God.
The wolf heads representing Cerberus and his queen.
Oh, damn.
Great.
Royalty v. royalty, hell yeah.
Guinevere, you hear Elizabeth start to snicker. I didn't think he was going to show everyone that. You look over and you see Winston's jaw is on the ground, cushioned by his beard.
Cushioned by his
I didn't know he was... You didn't know that my brother's been living here for the past 10 years?
Oh no!
God damn it.
He's dead! He is dead!
I'm surprised, Winston. I
Should've
thought for sure you'd have known my brother has been here.
Should have bet on Volk.
My boy holding true.
Oh no! And I bet on Richard.
Richard is going to die.
I should have bet on. Should not have bet on Richard.
The crew of the SS Whoops bursts into more howls and cheers
Oh god damn.
as Volk continues to strike a pose.
Oh god damn it.
I'm feeling weirdly uncomfortable here.
Richard strolls forward with an unbemused snarl across his face.
Come on, Richard. It's
Let's go
10 to 1,
Volk.
baby.
I didn't say it
10
was
to
10.
1?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
No.
What is it?
It's 1-1 for this.
Oh.
Yeah, these all of the fist fights have been 1-1.
Oh, okay. On the prize list, it says 10 to 1, so I guess it
Did it
changed
say
because
10
we
to 1
didn't.
on that?
You're on
Yeah.
the wrong round.
This is round. Oh no, this is round 2. I am on the wrong round. That is right. All right, that's my bad. That's my bad.
Yeah, they had to redo their whole... Actually, I'm pretty sure it should say 1-1 through the entire thing for this.
The first two say no prize
No
for
prize.
first round or second round, and then the third round says 10 to 1.
But, okay, well, I guess the last round's 10-1.
Oh no.
Anyway, as the fight is given the signal to start, Richard closes the distance and lands a hard forward kick into the unguarded chest of Volk. Volk flies back, tumbling against the sand, quickly regaining his feet. As he regains back onto his feet, this time, instead of even taking a defensive position, he turns his biceps, does a double bicep pose, and turns his body into that classic Arnold twisted pose with both arms flexed, this time flashing his back to Richard.
Ugh.
The crowd jeers in amazement. Richard snarls. He rushes in again, lands another large kick into the midsection of Volk. Volk bounces back off the ground, rolls back up, and this time as he rolls up, he strikes yet another pose as he stands.
What the fuck?
Richard snarls, "Stop copying him!" at the top of his lungs. He runs forward and begins raining a series of blows. This time on his charge, though, first the sound and then the sight of blue lightning crackling around his body can be seen as he vents his rage onto Volk's unguarded body.
My boy?
Volk takes the blows. Richard pops his claws and begins slashing at him. Blood spraying everywhere. Every time Richard manages to knock Volk down, Volk gets up, doesn't make a sound, refuses to do anything other than strike yet another pose, looking up to the audience and motioning his hands for them to cheer. Richard screams again for him to stop copying him and charges forward and continues his slashing, kicking, angered, furied, grabbing Volk, throwing him, slamming him again. Volk continuing to rise, blood raining down off of his body, but to Richard's anger as this goes on for close to 25 minutes. Volk continuing to pose and stare into the crowd, or look to Richard directly as Richard unleashes his fury, kicking at him like he's a sandbag, punching him, clawing at him, only to watch as the slash marks on Volk's body heal, closing themselves up, stopping the trickle of blood. Richard would strike Volk again and again, as Volk poses again and again in mockery of Richard's efforts. Richard begins to keep distance between the two of them, going in for a fury of blows and then backing away to catch his breath. For even a fighter as trained and as honed as Richard, this fight is taking too long. His endurance being pushed to its limits. At the 30-minute mark, he's feeling exhausted. He's used to fighting in the open conflict. But even then, he normally has a chance to back away from the front lines and breathe. But in this fight, it's him and the wall of muscle that has yet to even throw a punch. That just continues to pose in mockery, copying the former champion's style. Finally, Richard snarls as Volk stops posing and takes a proper boxing stance, nodding his head and motioning with his closed fist for Richard to hurry up and come on. Richard's a little infuriated by that, as if he's the one who's been doing nothing. Richard rushes forward as Volk mocks a muted yawn. Richard, in a fury, mad, he's going to end it all, and his entire right arm filling with the glow and static sound of lightning. He's going to put everything he has, he's going to put this dog down. His fist goes forward. Volk twists his body, the fist passing him by, as he brings his own fist into Richard's forearm and elbow with an uppercut.
Yeah!
Richard's arms, the sound of the elbow snapping can be heard. As Volk then uses the momentum of his body, twisting it, and brings his blow solid into Richard's ribs. Richard feels the impact, the sound of tendon and muscle and flesh and bone breaking and ripping can be heard. He stumbles back. He sees the next incoming punch. He raises his left arm to guard, knowing that the impact to the head would be deafening. Feels it as his forearm catches it for the block. The sound of, again, bone shattering makes its way as his arm falls down, wiggling like a piece of wet spaghetti. Blood pouring out from the skin as bits of the bone shard can be seen flecking out of the flesh. The pain racking him, his face. Richard stumbles back, his eyes large, glassy, filled with fear. The knowledge of knowing that he can't lift either of his arms to block the next punch. His legs beaten, bruises forming from all his repeated kicks into the hard body of Volk. Richard appears to be consumed with fear. Volk halts his assault, turns his back, walks back over, waves to the arena staff, and walks out of the sands of the arena, quitting. Richard is declared the winner of the match by forfeit.
Oh my god!
Elizabeth breaks out in hysterical laughter next to you, Guinevere. My goddess, brother, you are crueler than father ever was.
Yikes.
Is there even going to be a round 3 at this point?
No kidding.
So, after calculating your losses and your wins, you guys came up 1 silver.
Hey.
Only 1?
Yeah.
Yeah, after you calculate your guys' losses.
Yeah,
We had 7 winnings and then 4 losses.
How do you figure?
Because she bet 3 on Richard, I bet 3 on Richard, so that's 6.
And
And
you
it
had
was 1 to 1.
and you had 5 in losses.
Yeah.
I thought we only had 4.
Total. For everything.
Yeah, calculate everything up.
Not
Because
just this round, this entire.
For both
Oh.
fights.
We got 2 from Gutter.
Yeah,
There was 2 on
you know,
Gutter, the 6 on Richard, but there was 4 on Helios and 3 on Volk.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I forgot about somebody bet on Volk. That's right.
Yep.
Okay,
My boy.
that's...
You mean technically, if maybe if Volk had other ambitions, but at this point, you see the magistrate's eyes are wide. His jaw is almost on the ground if his dignity would let him. That was a first.
You mean they're not all like that? No way.
Well, it's not every day that we see a fighter surrender when he's winning. Also, I wasn't aware that was another one of Idrisil's spawn. He's a little shocked. Down in the shadows with Adonis and Lephistus, you'll notice Lephistus has a very serious look on his face. Apparently, this news of Volk's heritage was news to him as well.
Ooh, that's no bueno.
Volk has lived here for about a little over 10 years.
In the town?
Yeah.
Oh. Yikes. Ooh. I'm kind of just gonna wait patiently to see if, Lephistus needs anything from me. If I doubt I could do anything to fucking Volk, but
Lephistus is just shaking his head. I would have never guessed. It's incredible how lycanthropes can have so much variance even in one family. Huh. Interesting. So that's the other son of the wolf. I wonder if that's a brother, a child, a cousin. But we have another child of Idrisil. Interesting. Meanwhile, up with the corgis, Elizabeth is laughing so hard she's crying.
So very different.
Did you see that, Winston? He copied Father all the way up until the end. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I knew he was going to insult him, but I didn't think he would embarrass him like this. Did you see the look on Richard's face? I mean, obviously he's not as big as Father, and Father would have never used boxing techniques, but still, Volk did awfully good holding out for as long as he did. Look at the crowd. The crowd cheered. It was fantastic. At this point, Winston, basically, he's managed to lift his jaw off the ground and is dusting out his beard.
Slightly. Ever so slightly off the ground.
I was not aware that Volk was of relation to you, my lady. You said brother? Yes, he's Father's oldest. I'm sure your father would be proud. Your grandfather Must be very proud. Oh, please, Grandfather barely notices Volk. Honestly, some days I wonder if he notices me.
Oh.
Winston kind of gives her a sidelong look. From what I hear, you are his favorite granddaughter and the most spoiled. That's only if you asked Father.
Only.
Yeah, no baby. Oh, was not expecting that.
No, I was not.
You'll notice
Guinevere is doing that smile and nod thing, but she's very quiet.
You'll notice that no bookies appear between the last two fight for the last fight.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I wonder why.
He heard it was 10 to 1 and said, shit, I can't give my players that much money.
Some bookies do come out, and, well, the 10 to 1 was if you had bet for the overall. I'm looking at my notes.
Oh.
You would have had to bet at the very beginning to get the 10 for 1 on this. Otherwise, I have it listed as 1 for 1 if you're doing bets per round.
Got it.
But, due to the way this rolled out, there is no betting on this.
Yeah.
The favors are heavily inside of Getter. Or Gutter. The fighters are called out to the ring. Richard has had both of his arms heavily wrapped, but he's not able to lift them.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Kick.
Barely.
His legs are barely holding him up. He injured his legs quite a bit with his own kicks. Gutter is staring at him. And Richard lowers his head and walks away.
Oh.
And Gutter, without a fight, is decreed the winner. The dwarf, who's the master of the ceremonies, comes out to lift Gutter's arm. Gutter reluctantly raises it as he stares at the back of Richard, who's walking away. And he's given a 100 platinum prize.
Oh my god.
God.
As he's declared the world's strongest.
Fuck.
Jesus. What a way to not feel like the world's strongest.
Right?
No kidding.
After watching those Titans clash, Jesus Christ.
As he's handed the belt to mark himself as the world's strongest, he just kind of looks at it, holds it down at his side, and walks out of the ring without bothering to even pause to enjoy his victory. Feeling like his victory was a little stolen from him.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, Victor, Danvy. You see two of the corgis walk forward. Please go to seek out Richard and inform him that, just in case his cat couldn't remember what she was told, I will expect him and his people ready to sail in the morning. My grandfather can't wait to have a conversation with him.
Oh.
Ooh.
Damn.
Good old
And
Cerberus.
And it's at this point that Winston turns and looks at her. What exactly is happening, Elizabeth? Well, you witnessed the bet, Winston. Explain it anyway.
Jeez.
I bet my entire ship, as well as the rest of my father's fleet that I inherited, against Richard's freedom.
Oh.
Oh.
Now Richard and his entire group will go back to Tolinar with me, as was my father's original plan. The whole reason why you all framed his brother for committing crimes upon our ship. After all, my father's plan was to force Richard back to Tolinar. Richard's goal is simply to become a lord. He's just a commoner who wanted to raise up in rank. He chose the unattainable goal of becoming the next king. Now we've eliminated this problem. He will kneel and receive a title of lordship from my grandfather. He'll receive lands for his people, so that he can become the first lycanthrope lord of Tolinar. He'll be given a keep, he'll be given an estate, and him and his troops will be at the beck and call of my grandfather, as they should have been from the start.
I mean, it
Honestly,
could have been
that's
worse.
not that bad of a
Yeah,
fate.
it could have been
Okay.
a lot
Yeah.
worse.
It could have definitely been a lot worse.
Originally, we were going to use our ability to spare Louis's life as our trump card to make this happen. But, seeing as how none of us could have foreseen Louis's actions, this was the next best way to complete my father and grandfather's plans. Now, Richard gets to have his dream and resent it.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
Damn.
Tell me, do you think he would enjoy that swampy land down in the coast across from the Redlands?
Ooh.
It's humid and I've never quite liked it much. I think I'll recommend Grandfather give him that territory. Let him deal with the bogs. You just see Winston just sitting there with as much shock as you have.
Oh man.
God damn.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah. That-
I wouldn't either.
not how I was expecting this to go down.
Not at all, man.
Not in the slightest.
So real quick, above the table, just so we can tie it all together.
Yeah.
You all assassinated
Yeah.
the last member, or the last known member, of the Broken Blade,
Yeah.
while you were on the seas of the SS Wup, who
Yep.
also happened to be a public official of Corvus, framed it on Louis. The government of Corvus did not believe or care for the fact whether or not Louis committed it. They were just offended that the captain allowed it to happen. Decided that since they were going to kill Louis anyway, they would frame Louis for the murder of the captain. And all in all, everyone believes it, doesn't know your guys' involvement beyond the initial murder that no one cares about.
Perfect.
Well, we literally never had to frame Louis.
Didn't have to. It was gonna
Didn't
die
have
either
to.
way.
Didn't have
None
to,
of this
but-
would have happened.
No. You just,
Oh, no.
you just said he was gonna die either way.
Yeah, Louis
You
would have
Yeah,
died
but we
either
didn't
way.
have to be involved.
But we did.
But we did, and it worked out way better in our favor. It worked out way better in our favor to involve Louis in the end.
Did it though? Because now I have a guilty conscience.
Oh well.
I mean, I still, probably would have ended up killing, the captain, and then we just wouldn't have had anybody to blame it on. It would have been that much harder to, get a scapegoat. So yes, having Louis was good.
God.
And the whole reason why the captain was willing to let you commit the murder on his ship was because he wanted Louis to be framed, because they were going to use their ability to claim their rights to punish Louis as a way to extradite him back to Tolinar to spare his life, to force Richard to go along with this crazy gamble.
Everyone here has won except for Richard.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, even in that
In
way,
some
he
way-
still won.
Yeah.
His pride, though,
one way
his
or
pride,
another, everyone has still
absolutely
won
shot.
except for Richard.
Yes, but you see, Richard was threatening to overthrow the current king.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He got what was coming to him.
So I understand, don't get me wrong, but like, jeez, this is rough, bro.
Yes, according to the laws of Tolinar, if Richard had won the title of the world's strongest, he would have had the right to say that as someone recognized as the world's strongest, he would have had the right to challenge Cerberus to a duel of authority. In which case, Cerberus would have massacred him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, of course.
So
he was dead either way. He has to live this.
Now he gets to live. Now he gets to live. Just a really shitty
which
life.
is worse.
I don't know.
Instead of having freedom and you get what you've always wanted, but you can't do anything about it.
He sort of has freedom. Sort of has freedom.
Yes, but he has to kneel to a king that he hates.
Yeah. But he gets to keep his life.
Which is that's fair.
And that's more of a disrespect.
Does he though? Because he's got two shattered arms.
Yeah, he's never properly fighting again.
I didn't say he was properly fighting or doing anything like that. He's gonna be depressed forever, but at least he gets to live.
You think that's better than dying?
And to make matters worse, as you'll discover through Elizabeth's laughter at Winston's shock, Volk was supposed to beat him, but Volk doesn't want the title. He said that he doesn't need to be the world's strongest. He never had that fancy like father. But I didn't expect him to simply injure Richard beyond being able to fight for it.
Jeez
Christ.
Unexpected as all hell.
So yeah. There you go.
Man.
This has been rough.
And with that...
So anyways, how do you guys feel about having a gold?
It's great.
Your guys' let's see here. You all have got to add that extra silver in there. So that brings that to 25. You all have 1 gold, 25 silver, and 6 copper.
Whew. A far cry from the 20 silver we came with.
Yes, indeed.
This is our first gold, y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all made a gold. I'm very proud of you.
Oh God, crazy.
Made a gold and got a place to stay before the other party. Haha. Allegedly.
I was about to say, you don't even know that.
Doesn't matter.
All right. And with that, the fights are over. The magistrate does a few little things. Gelt, you're able to leave. Adonis, you part ways, knowing that a servant will be sent to you in the morning to fetch you to show you the property.
Before we part ways, can
Yes.
I ask him if I can get his, ring just in case I need something? Like, God forbid that something happens and that I, need help.
He informs you that he does give you the combination to call him, but he informs you that his device is a clock that's kept in his office.
Office calls only.
Office calls only.
Due to the nature of his work, he can't exactly have magical items just randomly going off on his person.
No, that makes sense.
But you do have the ability to call. Whether or not he's there is a separate conversation. But you can now reach out to him.
Yeah.
And with that, the two of you come back into the main foray. As you see Guinevere coming with Elizabeth, Winston has politely excused himself. And they come down. You see Guinevere, and the three of you come back together.
My fucking boy Volk.
God damn. Absolute monster in the ring.
You see the corgis are gathered around you as Elizabeth's still with you. She sees the two of you. Oh, it's good to see you all again. It is a pleasure. I hope that you two both had fun. I'm sorry for stealing her away. She was very pleasant company. And about this point, you see Volk walking through the crowd with his retainer.
Is he trying to is he walking in our direction?
He walks right up. And he looks down at his little sister, who goes over And as he actually kneels down, she goes over and she pats him on the head. I know you and him didn't speak much, but he would have been proud. And if I don't say it, I know you're going to say no, but Grandma really wishes you'd come home and visit. He nods his head, he gets up and he starts to walk away. And where is it? Where is my book? Where's my book? I don't want to mess up this name. Nope, that's John Nelson. That's not who we're looking for. But Ryan. That is the Doberman-looking lycanthrope that's with him.
What was the name?
Fian.
Fian.
It's spelled F-I-A-I-N, but what you want to sound it out would be F-I-E-I-N. Fian, has he been taking care of himself? Lady Elizabeth, he does what he does, but he still does not speak. You know, if he had, I'm sure many people would have thought he was father.
Oh.
Please continue looking after him for me. My lady, always and forever. And with that, she takes her leave to catch up to him.
Wait, does that mean that Volk's a mute?
Yes, Volk does not talk.
I mean, selectively. Well, not selectively.
Well,
electively?
Yeah.
In this case, since you're asking these questions, do you want to ask Elizabeth?
It feels kind of rude, I'm not gonna lie.
She's right there.
Best friendo?
Yeah, I'll ask her. I'll just, I mean, I guess in the politest terms I can.
Here, hold on.
Just,
Hold on. I'm gonna save you something. Since Gelt and Adonis feel so awkward, both of you roll deception.
Um, 68.
80.
All right. Well, Adonis fails. My brother hasn't spoken since our mother passed. He blamed father, and he refuses to talk to anyone. Or at least that's the going rate. Truth be told, I personally think he can't talk. Matter of shame. He blames himself just as much as he blames our father. Though now with father gone, I'm hoping that he's willing to open up. Someday, maybe. Either way, he's going to have to get used to people wanting to talk to him now that he's told everyone in town who he is. He's not going to be able to get away with that humble bartender and lumberyard routine he's been doing.
Damn.
He does make a very good drink.
It serves good drinks, though.
Well, I would hope so. He's been at it for a decade. Though the great thing is, I love the fact that the mistress of the cat house has been after him since he's arrived here, and he hasn't paid her a bit of attention.
Ooh,
damn.
The mistress of the cat house, you say?
Yes. She claims to be of some old bloodline, but who really knows? With women in her work, it's always hard to say. They all claim to be of some great heritage. She claims to be a descendant of Ashton Janice herself, the famed Lady of Avondale.
Not Janice.
No way. No way. No chat. No shot. Everyone
What?
knows it's Mary Beth.
Why am
Something
I?
tells me
Why,
that Janice is Jezebel.
why am I not surprised that you would know the name of the most famous lady of Avangale? As she kind of gives the two of you not a disgusted look, but a boys will be boys kind of eye roll.
Never met her myself,
Surely.
but you know.
Purely thinking about history.
She looks at you.
Kel just being a nerd.
All right, and on that, it is now 6 p.m.
Yep.
The sun has set. The fights are over. There's most of the events of games and everything have shut down. It's just vendors selling goods, people scattering off to the various bars and taverns and whatnot. The people, some heading off to the cat house, hoping that since that seems to be the place where everybody goes to really rub shoulders with people of influence. People going all about. What would you all like to do with the rest of your evening?
Honestly, there's not really much that I want to do besides, just hit the hay, I guess. Practice some Elvish, hit the hay.
I'm kind of just trying to mosey around the town, kind of just kind of hang out around the town for a bit.
All right. Is there anything in particular you want to try to pick up while you're moseying around town, or just moseying?
I think just moseying.
Okay. So you mosey around the town. It's fun. After the Coliseum closed, a lot of the vendors are giving away free drinks.
Hey.
Just as a celebration for everyone had proof of going to the Coliseum. You're given some drinks. You run into a couple people who you met earlier who shake hands with you, and once again, a pleasure to meet you. All that pleasantry bullshit.
Yep, waving the metal hand. It's.
And otherwise, again, as long as none of you have any direct goals, we will bring the evening to a close, and we will pick up the next morning, where there is a knock at your door. And upon opening it, you meet a young elven who's probably about 60, 65 years old. So they're about your age you were when you lost your parents' guild. I come from the magistrate's office to guide the dining titans to their allotted property.
All right, let's go see it then.
That would be us.
Yeah.
And
Make
with
sure we
that,
have everything.
Yeah.
You are taken to a storefront that has already been labeled. I believe this was the name I saw you guys give.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Titan's Bounty.
The Titan's Bounty. You go in. It is... The downstairs floors are dusty. Very, very dusty. There is some broken bottles and whatnot on some of the dusty shelving left behind. Literally this place, as you're walking, you're leaving footprints like you were walking in snow.
Oh. Man, this is not gonna do.
Yes,
so we got some cleaning to do.
The counters, everything in this place is... Okay, there's cobwebs everywhere. The shop area is just...
So got to put in that elbow grease right now. Got it.
Yeah. Ooh, I need to grab your guys' tokens. I didn't grab your tokens. That's no good. I believe that this, the location of this place, used to be Hagatha's Potions and Brews. She passed away and left the property vacant approximately 40, 45, 50-ish years ago. She had quite the accomplished business here, actually. But, yes, you'll notice that there is a flight of stairs, and they're in the center of the store. There is a door that leads up a flight of stone stairs. Come on. You can do it, Roll20. I have faith in you.
You can change to the store.
Ooh, you got this.
Yes, but yes, she's been gone for quite a while, and I was told that the store is and the building is now to be leased to the Dawning Titans, and
There we go.
here
Loading
you
it in.
are. And with that, the magistrate's servant who came to deliver you here hands you the keys to the building and excuses themselves. The downstairs covered in dust, there's paperwork and everything everywhere. We can talk more about that in a little bit, but I figure you'll want to see what the upstairs looks like.
I'm still waiting to see what the downstairs
Oh,
looks
I was
like.
about to say.
The upstairs should be loading.
There it is. There we go. Oh yeah, it's still loading.
And as you go up the stone spiral stairs, you come to the upstairs. The upstairs has a total of 11 rooms plus a fully plumbed bathing area.
Oh.
11 rooms?
Yes. As well as a kitchen and a large pantry.
Oh, that's so good.
This place is very big.
Yeah.
As you reach the top of the stairs and come in, you see the familiar face of Hephaestus standing there with a bottle of wine that has a blue ribbon tied around it. Ah! Welcome to your new home. The upstairs is not dusty. All of the dust has been removed.
Nice.
It's
tell
been
me-
put in the downstairs.
he holds out the bottle. I hear the magistrate chose this one to be this year's winner. I expect it to be at least decent. And he hands it off to you, Gelt. Welcome to your new abode. Lady Guinevere, it is a pleasure. Adonis, good to see you again.
I tip my hat to him. Good to see you as well, sir.
Wearing a hat inside? Have you no respect?
I didn't find anywhere to put my hat down at.
Hold it.
Have I ever actually met Hephaestus?
I don't
You haven't,
Yeah.
but he's met you.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Well, he was standing there behind you guys when you got recruited away by Bill.
Oh, yeah. I'll give him a polite bow.
So, I am glad that you appear to be pleased with the establishment. The downstairs will need some work, but I figured once you know what you're doing with it, you'll be able to set it up how you like. I made sure that the upstairs was cleaned for you. Each room has been linened, complete with an armoire at each, decent bed, all your basic necessities. I ensured that the plumbing is working and all of your lighting is enchanted crystal.
Ooh.
So you won't be wasting money on torches or candles.
This man has thought of everything.
Step telling us what the rent is.
Oh, the rent was already covered.
Oh.
Yeah, the rent is... Next time you wonder what this costs you, just look at that pocket watch.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It's leased to you. You don't own it. It's leased to you.
Yeah. So, we don't pay anything on it, but the
I just
second
thought
they
we were
call...
renting from them.
We do
Now-
work, we get to stay here.
Understandable.
Now, as you can see, obviously, there's plenty of rooms. You're going to need to hire some servants, probably, to take care of things for you. There's quite a kitchen if you know how to cook, though, for appearance's sake, you may decide to hire someone down the road. If you do need any help with staffing, please just reach out and let me know. I'm sure the magistrate can see to accommodations of what you might need.
Ooh.
But I'm afraid I do have business that I must attend to. Though, I must ask, Lady Ashenthorn, the dagger and sword that you carry are most beautiful. As you can tell, and he lifts his coat a little bit to reveal the two pistols under his arm with the pearl handles. I myself am quite the collector of pearl. Might I be able to request whether or not, and I care, excuse myself if I'm stepping too close, but if you ever decide to sell those weapons, I hope that you think of me first, and I would graciously pay to have first choice.
I want to put my hand on my rapier and grip it, and just give him a smile and say, I very much appreciate the thought, but it's one of the last things I have of my dear Grover, you see, and I could never give him up.
I understand. Like I say, I do apologize for being too forward, but seeing blades of such beauty, I couldn't help but ask. I would hate to find out that they were lost or sold before I had the chance to acquire them. But I understand the sentiment of heirlooms. Well,
He was quite a bladesmith.
A pity I do not get to meet him. Now then, on to other happier news. Please pick your rooms. The place is yours. I do have business that I must attend to, though. I do apologize, though. I did do the thing. Brought a bottle. Taps the wine bottle again. When you're prepared to perhaps throw your first foray, please remember to invite the magistrate.
Of course.
Yeah, we can host parties now.
And when you do decide on what type of business that you're opening, I look forward to seeing its prosperity. And with that, he does a polite bow to the three of you and makes his way down the stairs.
Yo, dibs.
Just mosey on over here. Claim this room.
All right. So, you all have your estate. You have living quarters. You have a dirty storefront that can be turned into whatever you want. You can choose to hire people to clean it. You can clean it yourselves. You can choose to do any shopping. You guys have a buttload of money.
Yeah.
So, all of that being said, it's the 29th. You guys have the day. Tell me what you want to do.
I want to go get cleaning supplies and start working on cleaning the storefront. But before I come back to the storefront, I would like to go to what was it, the tailor, and say my secret words.
The passphrase.
All
I have
right.
it written down in my note. Yeah, the tailor.
So let's go
If you
back.
don't have it, don't worry, I do.
I got it. A festive dinner for things of a durable sort.
Yeah.
I got it. I wrote it down.
You wrote something down?
No shot.
I wrote the maid game down in Stills Farm.
Careful, you're gonna give Guinevere a heart attack.
Right?
I got my boy Zamay Bame, you know?
Zimye.
A man spelled Zmiya. Not pronounced at all like that, but it's written down.
Eventually you'll figure out where I'm borrowing all these languages from. All right. So you make your way over to the tailor's. You've been here before. You walk in. You see the familiar elf who owns the place. I'm not going to make you repeat it. I give you credit for the fact that you actually remembered the password.
Oh, I actually wanted to repeat it, but all right.
Go ahead and repeat it then.
I just wanted to have a conversation with her, That's how I expected it to go.
As soon as... Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I guess I enter. I was just gonna wait for her to say hi or something, and then bring it up.
She sees you. Ah, didn't bring your mother this time.
Not today. I'm actually looking for clothes for a festive dinner. Some things of a durable sort.
I see. Up this way, please. And she guides you through the store. She's eyeing a few of the customers that are in there, some stragglers, people making their last day's purchases as people are starting to leave town. She motions to a couple of her assistants to watch the front of the store as she leads you into the back of the store.
Nice.
And as you get there, please, just wait there. She goes over. She takes a long drag off of her cigarette and she leans over a chest where she whispers a few words as she exhales the smoke, and you see a series of glyphs and runes appear across the top of it. They swirl into a motion and you hear the distinct sound of a heavy lock clunking open as she opens the chest. She reaches in and she pulls out 3 bags. And she hands them to you. These bags look like they kind of look like your military rucksack.
Okay.
They have a top opening that has a maximum opening of 2x3.
Okay.
It's important to remember that because if you can't fit it through a 2x3 opening, it does not fit.
All right.
No putting a Drake's head in here.
She handed me 3 of those?
You're right, he's not Bargoth.
Yes. She handed you 3 of those. Because there's 3 people in your party.
Alright.
These are called tunneler bags. They have a maximum holding capacity of 100 slots.
Oh my god.
Got it.
Now, the reason they're called tunneler bags is all 3 are connected.
Oh.
So 3 of you have a shared inventory.
Of 100 slots. Or is it a shared inventory of 300 slots?
No. The total is 100.
It's just
that's what I thought.
3 different points of entry.
Yeah, three different bags of entry.
Yes.
He said it was a
tunneler's bag of holding.
No. I'm the opening. You said 3
2x3.
2x3.
Yep.
I don't know why I'm over here writing it down. I had Guinevere.
I'm literally writing it down in my items,
Yeah. So now the 3 of you can essentially share your item pool.
Nice.
Sweet.
The transportation between bags is limited. So you have to be within 20 miles of each other.
Okay.
Basically, you got to be on this. If we were on the world map, you've got to be in the same world map tile.
Same tile. Got it.
If you are separated beyond that, the bags become unconnected to one another and default to the bags that are closest to each other. You can still put things inside the bag, but the space does not become shared until you come within range.
Okay.
That being said, if you lose a bag, well, you better get your things.
Yeah.
Strongly advise that you don't go swimming with a bag open, as you might, as it would be a shame to drown anyone else who was unsuspecting a torrent flow of water.
What a hell of a way to kill someone.
So,
stuff their head in the bag and then throw the other one in the ocean.
Oh god.
And that's what your password was good for.
Nice.
Now, can I interest you in any other services today?
No. I think that's it.
With pleasure. And one more thing, darling. Hold on. And she waves her hand, and all the dirt that you failed that you dragged in just off of you. You really must stop coming in here so filthy.
I definitely thought I was clean, but I guess Coliseum's dirty.
It's been a few days.
Coliseum.
You were laying in dirt not that long ago and sleeping on top of stuff and.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Lyme disease.
I took a shower when I got back.
You walked through a dusty store where it's so dusty you left snow prints.
Yeah, you got me there.
The shop.
Yeah, we all walked through the shop, but I did take a shower after almost catching Lyme disease.
You're good on that one. All right. So with that, anything else, folks? Any shopping we want to do? Any preparations? By the way, Gelt, Guinevere, you do find cleaning supplies.
Ooh.
Inside the Titan's bounty.
Nice.
Sweet.
No need to buy any of those.
Cool.
No, I don't have anything in particular I want.
Yeah, I can't think of much right now myself.
Okay. So in that case, I'm going to drop a little bit more lore on you, and we're going to wrap up for the day.
All right.
Sweet.
So, where's it at? We need... There it is. So, while you're cleaning, since the three of you said you're going to clean, you find that most of the shelving and everything's actually, other than being covered in dust, it's all very nice.
Nice.
The cabinets or not the cabinets, the counters are all stone and appear to be granite, very nice and well taken care of. You find stacks and reams of paperwork. Do you bother to sort through it or not?
I'll sort through it. Yeah.
Okay. You find that Agatha was quite the accomplished alchemist. She appeared to be doing quite the business. Looks like she was turning about 3 platinum a month.
Whew.
Ooh,
That's
damn.
not bad.
God damn.
She had opened up her shop roughly 80 years ago. And she was doing fairly well. She had an arrangement worked out, and it looks like she was ordering her herbal supplies. Give me 1 second. She was ordering her herbal supplies from Nature's Remedies, an agricultural company that grew particular herbs and plants specifically for the production of health potions and sold at quite the discount to Agatha. She started doing business with them back in 1676.
And the current year is like 2000 and something, right?
It is, give me 1 second, I'll give you the exact year. It is currently 2111.
Oh my god.
You found records that go back into Agatha's business even before she was set up here.
Do we find any recipes? That's the word I was looking for. For potions or anything like that?
You do not find any recipes. You just find a lot of order logs of who she was selling to. And it looks like
she probably need recipes.
Looks like she was selling. Well, her recipes would probably been kept in a book.
Yeah.
And you don't find the book. You see that she was selling potions. She was even selling potions when she arrived here. And then she was living. You don't know whether she was human or not, but she lived for a long time, and she had set up her shop here specifically. Her business here was doing about 100 years ago. And then you see that she would have maintained her relationship with Nature's Remedies. And Nature's Remedies, well, Gelt, how does it feel seeing the name of your parents' business in this paperwork?
I thought that sounded familiar. Tesa kind of just looks at it, just... Haven't thought about that in a long time. Good old home. Little bit of the phantom limb comes back.
Very good. So, just so that you understand the outlook on this, you are now 101 currently. Your parents, everything that happened with you started 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And you know based off of the invoices that all of you have seen, that Agatha went out of business / died 35, almost 36 years ago. As the last bit of paperwork you can see is actually an invoice order from your parents' business of Nature Remedies that was made in 2076.
Oh.
And it was for an order of 50 platinum. And it looks like it was a fairly regular order.
What do you guys think about selling potions?
I'm fine with that idea, but I do not know if it necessarily should be the main front. On top of that, I have no clue how to make a potion.
Well, I'm no alchemist.
I mean, I'm down to go buy a book from the general store, Alchemy for Dummies.
I doubt that he would have any of it left rattling around in his head.
As you go digging through the store and cleaning, you do find a basement door hatch, which leads down a dusty flight of stairs. And you find the basement laboratory that Agatha left behind.
Ooh.
So we have a full lab.
We have a full lab.
You do, in fact, have a full lab.
Yo, I wonder if we could just hire an alchemist.
You can always ask around and see.
That is true.
That being said, unless there's anything specifically you guys tell me you want to do, we're wrapping this session for the day.
I can't think of anything specific besides wandering around town and asking about an alchemist or, attempting to call Hephaestus.
Yeah?
Gelt's just gonna, when he goes back up, he's gonna grab that last invoice, like a couple of invoices, and just take them into his room.
Not a problem. All right. With that being said, we will end. We'll say that you guys spent the entire day cleaning.
Understandable.
And you get a healthy night's rest, which will allow us to pick up on the 30th, the last day of the month.
With that, just as a reminder before we close out, don't forget that we all now have a sloth sleeping bag.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I have them.
Indeed.
I have them in my inventory. Oh, they're not ready yet?
Yeah. But we will have them.
You will have them.
Okay, we will have them. Okay, I thought they were going to be ready after Champions Day.
I think it's like a week or something.
I just remember that Uncle had me add them to my inventory so we wouldn't forget about them.
Those will be ready on the next Baja Day.
Okay.
Because he said he'd have them on the dry rack by the end of Champions Day. Takes him a few days to process and turn them into those rolls. So on the 3rd of next month, you'll have them.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll pick up with you guys in your shop at the top of the next session. This has been a very long-winded session on my side. I apologize, but
very good.
Yeah.
We didn't do a lot of talking, but oh my gosh, it was fun to listen.
There wasn't a lot of talking for us to do, to be honest. So.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean.
But you guys have a total of 1 gold, 25 silver, and 6 copper. Now, I will remind you, before we close out, just some things I want you guys to think about between now and next session is taxes midnight of the 30th hit.
Mhm.
So you might want to do your any expenditures of spending beforehand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because any money that you're holding will be taxed.
How much is the tax?
The rates are at the top. I think to the top of the.
You guys are a guild. I believe you guys are taxed at 3%.
Ooh, yucky.
I mean, it's
That's
not.
not as bad as it could be.
It's not as bad as it's not the worst.
Yeah,
But
not the worst.
But just saying, you might want to think about any shopping or anything you guys want to do, and work that out so that way you're not taxed as heavily.
Yeah.
Drop that gold down and get taxed less.
Oh, you know what we should fucking. I know what we should do.
Hmm.
We should take that gold to the guild and upgrade our account.
I don't remember what that does for us, to be honest with you.
It gives us
Sorry, I'm
more
looking
insurance.
for.
It gives us better insurance for in case we lose our stones or our thing.
What document am I looking for this?
The town of Corvus.
There we go. Thank you.
You can do that. You guys can do whatever you want. I'm going to wrap this out, and then I will we'll set up for the after show.
Sounds good.